Hello and welcome to episode 106 of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. My name's Davey and joined with me, as always, is the fine wine himself, Mr. Philip Hoy.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it.
Oh, classic. I actually get that reference today. And the phenom of being able to put a prediction out there and it come to reality. The prophet himself, Mr. Spencer Davis. How the devil are you?
Oh, it's a bit of a pause on the prophet, mate. Do you doubt my wisdom?
It's not so much that I doubt it. It's just more so that thing of, it'd be the same thing of, if like, I always say this about religion. If there is a God, right, why didn't he just show up once a year? Just
we
show
have
up.
started the show so heavy. This is only the introductions, and you've gone, well, the thing about religion is...
Yeah.
There is a God.
But if I was a God, right, I would just show up like once a year, just so that everyone remembers, oh, actually, he does exist. Right?
Banging your fittest creations.
No, I wouldn't go to that level. I'm a God, right? And like a proper, like we're talking like Christian God, which is like, supposed to be the homie, right? And it wouldn't be like a Greek god coming around and shagging people, getting them pregnant, chucking, my kids into life or death situations at a very young age, eating my young to keep my throne. It wouldn't be any of that nonsense. It would be like, a biblical good god, right? Like we're talking like in a New Testament god rather than like a BC god, right?
Yeah.
I would just show up once a year because he showed up once, like 2,000 years ago now.
Well, his son came back, didn't he, from the dead, so he showed up twice.
I guess so, yeah. I suppose you could probably say he did a reunion tour 30 years later after he was born, right? I guess, right? But that's still like, 1,970 years ago. At this point, it's myth, not that many. There is still a sizable amount of people that believe in it. If you believe in it, good for you. For me, I'd want to see him come back a little bit more regular than that. Like maybe the same level of time as like Halley's Comet. So, every like, 50, 60 years. So you're like, it's going to be a big deal when God turns up. He's bound to be back around about now, I reckon. And it'd be like a podcast about like, is he returning this year? Be like, it's only been 59 years. I don't know. Is this a big year for God? Oh, we'll have a look. Maybe he's back. I'd come back more reg. Is what I'm saying. And the whole point of this is I'm saying that your ability to be able to predict things is now old news. Right? So it's starting to waver on me already. I need another prediction from you that's going to come true imminent. And then I'd be on the hype wagon. I'd be believing it,
Give me time. Let me cook.
That's what God's been saying for 1,970 years, mate. And I'm starting to lose faith. But this is not a religion-based podcast. This is In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. And our religion is PlayStation, baby. And we are here to talk about all the good things that are happening within the PlayStation Nation right here on this episode on 106. And what have we got in store for you today, listeners? Well, kind of the standard run of the show, to be honest. We're going to kick it off with a question, a hypothetical to ask the lads, then move it into what we've been playing, then go into the quick news. We got a listener question, and then we're going to end on our topic of the show. And today it is an absolute juicer. It is myself, Mr. Philip Hoy, and Lewis, Potato Chief, the Xbox ambassador. We have all got together to be able to do our fantasy draft of 2025. So we have got down, picked 6 games to put in to represent, and the winner of this year is up for not only a prestigious trophy, but also drinks to hand out to the rest of us. So it's a lot to play for. And we take it quite seriously, and you guys seem to enjoy it last year, so that is making a return. But we got a long old roll till then. First up, guys, we got a question, and today's question I got from Twitter. Now, as you may know, I'm a bit of a fan of a series of games by Capcom called Resident Evil. I don't know if the audience are aware of this yet. But there was something posted by the REBH portal, which is the Resident Evil portal, for all you that don't know. And they ask a question. If you were on a mission in a Resident Evil game, which equipment would you take with you? Now, you've got 2 options, A or B. A has a handgun, flash grenade, a hand grenade, and 30 handgun ammo. And B is a shotgun, 10 shotgun shells, a knife, and an egg. Now, Before we get into actually discussing this, because I would normally throw it over to somebody, I think it's important that we stress what type of Resident Evil we are in here, because I think that would very much sway the conversation that we are having. So are we saying we're having a classic Resident Evil experience, a la Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, and 0, or are we talking more Resident Evil 4 onwards to 6 territory? Where do you want to spin this, guys?
Personally, I'd like to start at the beginning with this one. I think it's 1, 2, and 3, because these weapons, outside, I think, the egg, because I'm not sure if the egg appears in 1, 2, and 3, I think all of these do then appear in the originals. So let's start from the beginning and see how overpowered the egg could possibly be in the start of the amazing series, which is Resident Evil.
Do you agree with that rationale, Spence, or would you prefer to go down the more action-heavy route of 4, 5, and 6?
I would prefer to go the original route, but in my mind, it makes more sense to go with 4, 5, 6, just because this contains egg, you know?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because egg essentially is a healing item, right? Like, you can throw it at enemies. It does very little outside of one boss, which it's fatal for in Salazar and Resident Evil 4. But the rest of the time, you can throw eggs, and you're more than welcome to, but it's more like an insult rather than something you want to be using as a weapon. More importantly, it's just a healing item, I would say.
It's a trophy in Remake.
It is a trophy as well. So that is on the cards here. So we got a bit of a tie break then. So Spence is saying that you'd prefer to go down the 4, 5, 6 route. Phil's going for a 1, 2, 3. My allegiance is always with 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to take it down the classic route here, boys. Now, Spence, I'm going to come to you first, as I always do on these questions. How are you answering? A or B? And give me your rationale.
Bro, A, easy. It's the easiest choice I've ever seen in my life. For one, the shotgun on B isn't even a shotgun. That is a rifle, blood. Those bullets don't fit in that gun. Terrible decision. I would never choose B. And A, you've got everything you'd ever need. 30 handgun rounds is crazy. Flash grenade in case you run into a licker. Beautiful. Hand grenade for anything else. Anything a bit bigger than your standard zombo. Beautiful. 30 rounds. That's crazy. You're not even going to use them all. These are original RE zombies. You're just going to walk back a little bit and then slowly turn left and walk round. That's all you got to do. A, final answer. Lock it in.
All right. Very strong choice. Any thoughts on Spencer's answer there, Phil?
I like the way he's approached it, and he's very astute in noticing that the shotgun is actually a rifle. But it is the first comment on Twitter, and I did read that as well. So I want to put it out there, Davey. Can we swap out the rifle for an actual shotgun? Or
Yes.
is this what we're actually getting? A rifle with shotgun shells?
No. I think
Because the answer's always then going to be A.
You might find some rifle rounds and a shotgun, mate. Imagine.
Yeah, true. You're pretty busted then at that point.
Oh, so we're saying this is your starting items, right? So we're still saying the Resident Evil world exists and random items will be glistening in the darkness where I can go and pick up extra ammo and herbs, etc., etc.
I would say that for the basis of this, where it's got written underneath the obvious rifle, shotgun, I'd say that they should have put a picture of a pump action shotgun in here.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to say that for the basis of this, that is an actual shotgun. So you've got a shotgun with 10 shotgun shells, a knife and an egg.
Okie doke. Well, for my choice, I'm going to actually go B because you made that slight adjustment. And the reason I wanted us to base this in Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, and it's beautiful to be able to say Resident Evil, so I'm going to keep saying Resident Evil as much as I can in every sentence, Resident Evil, is because I want to survive. We haven't been given a lot of ammo here, okay? So handgun ammo 30, shotgun shells 10, but you've also got a knife, a flash grenade, and a hand grenade. So there's some serious power there if that's your starting weapons within Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. And I don't remember it being that difficult. If we're thinking about the originals, ammo was sparse at the start. You would only come in with maybe a handgun. You wouldn't get a shotgun straight away in 1, 2, and 3. It would take you a little time to appreciate the power of the shotgun once you got it a little later on in the game. So that's the reason my eyes are drawn straight to that. It'd be busted starting the game with almost a special weapon, okay? But what Spencer hasn't worked out is the longevity Okay? You fire off your 30 shots. You throw your flash grenade, your hand grenade out. Then you have to throw your gun at the zombies. If you don't find any ammo, you're dead. But at least with me, I've got a little bit of a chance because I've got a knife. So I'm in hand-to-hand combat with zombies. I'm taking them on after I've shot my 10 shots, and I'm pretty good with a shotgun. I go clay pigeon shooting quite regularly, at least once a month. So I think I could hit a few zombies, at least 10, okay? Because I hit clays quite often. So once my ammo's done, I can use the shotgun as a baseball bat, because we're taking this slightly out of the Resident Evil world. I'm going to adapt it slightly so it becomes a weapon, and I've also got a knife. So it could be almost a bayonet if you'll allow me to do that. And then if I ever get caught, I've got healing. I've got the egg. And I'm trying to get swole at the moment, so I absolutely fucking love eggs.
I think very smart arguments. And yes, I would say that we are, even though we're on a Resident Evil mission, we're not bound by the rules of the game. So if you want to if you can find tape, which would be something that you probably have to solve a couple of puzzles to be able to find tape. But if you can, then you could certainly strap that onto the end of your shotgun and have a bayonet.
Have to be some good fucking tape.
yeah.
Jesus.
Has to be like that stuff that you can put pictures on the wall with. You know, like that, like hardcore duct tape stuff. Like the stuff that, you know, when people get like tied to a chair. Yeah, like plumbing tape. It'd have to be something like that, wouldn't it?
Or Gorilla Glue.
Gorilla Glue.
Yeah, they make some good tapes.
They do. Yeah, Gorilla don't mess around when it comes
Shout
to
out Gorilla Glue.
adhesion. Yeah.
If you want to sort me out, bro, you know, DMs are open.
Imagine that. In PS We Trust, sponsored by Gorilla
Glue.
Which random sponsor.
Mentioned them once, though. That'd be great,
Yeah,
right?
true.
Free advertising at the moment.
IKEA would be the one for me. If we were to get sponsored by anyone, IKEA, I spent a fucking fortune in IKEA last couple of months. If I could have got sponsored by them and got like even 10% discount, would have fucking loved it.
Mine would be Ferrari.
Well, yeah,
Shout out Ferrari, right? If we're getting any
Tesla.
sponsor, yeah, maybe Musk, sure. Just buy the podcast. Richest man in the
Amazon.
world.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, moving it back. Spence, did you have a counter argument to Phil's? Because it seemed like you're working your way up to it.
Kind of. My counter argument, in my mindset, we were kind of bound to the laws of Resident Evil. So I was thinking, you fool. A knife is only one defensive item. I have 2 defensive items with a flash and a hand grenade in case I get jumped. You know what I'm saying?
So your rules of Resident Evil are based in the later games, as opposed to the games that we're actually basing this within. Because a knife in the original games was unlimited, and it doesn't break. And a flash grenade and a hand grenade, they weren't defensive items. They were attacking items.
Remakes, you know what I'm saying?
We weren't counting the remakes, bruv.
I wasn't thinking remakes. I wasn't thinking remakes at all. But I mean, well, for is there even a flash grenade in the original trilogy? I don't think there is.
There's no egg.
no, very, very true, very true. We'll see where we go with this. I think both of you put some compelling arguments out, and I think there isn't really a wrong answer to this, because the handgun and 30 rounds, if you were to be an absolute dickhead, like most of us are in our first ever experience with Resident Evil, you kill the zombie, right? So you fire off all the shots to kill it, which is then you've got enough rounds for 2 zombos at that point, 15 rounds a pop on average, depending on difficulty. Whereas if you're just doing the strat, which is you just put enough rounds to stagger, you've got enough there for a good handful, probably 5 odd rounds for a stagger, I'd say.
This is my whole argument right now.
Go.
If I loaded into Resident Evil, right, and all I had was a shotgun and 10 rounds, I'd think, fuck, I'm quite sparse. I got to use these carefully. If I had a pistol, flash grenade, and handgun ammo, I'd think, fuck me, I'm set.
Very good point. Yes. That is actually an amazing point, to be fair.
You know what I mean?
It is. It's that mindset of those items, because you know how powerful they are. Like the shotgun, those 10 rounds are 10 kills right there. Like the shotgun is not like clay pigeon, like Phil was putting out there. You just hold it up to the sky and they get close and it's an instant head explosion, right? Instant 1 kill.
Have you seen me do clay pigeon shooting?
Is that how you do it in real life?
I hold it up to the sky and every shot is a kill, mate. That's exactly how I do it.
Oh man, that's some skill right there. That's some skill. Holding it at like, a 45-degree angle Always. Every
Well, it
time.
goes up and then comes back down, doesn't it? Because I'm doing trick shots, basically.
yeah. It's like Bullseye or something. He's like on that Angelina Jolie movie. He's like
I'm bending the
spinning-
bullets.
Wanted,
Yeah.
bro.
Wanted, that's it.
What a film.
I think Spence might have swayed me on this because I was originally going to go with Phil's argument on here in terms of the knife being the secret weapon here, because you could do whole playthroughs with a knife. Like the knife's and especially in some games, the knife is cracked out the arse. I think it's in Code Veronica. I could be wrong on that. Please don't quote me, audience. One of those games, anyway, that the knife is like bust arse. Like it's ridiculously powerful. It's actually broken. So I was originally thinking of going for B because you got an infinite resource item and a health kit there. But Spence makes a very compelling argument that shotgun would not get used even when it was like I was going to die. I'd be very reluctant to use it. And every time I use it, I'd feel like shit. Whereas the handgun, I'd feel fine.
If you miss a shot with the handgun, it's like, that's fine, I got 29 more. If you miss a shot with the shotgun, it's like, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
we got the handgun you can use to just shoot their leg and sneak past. With the shotgun, you kind of have to go for the kill shot.
Well, yeah, and you can't like fire it off from fucking range, can you? You always got to put yourself in danger a little bit to be able to make sure you maximize the use. Because as you said, you cannot waste one of those bullets, right?
But Davey, I like danger.
and that's absolutely fine, my friend. I work in risk management. I'm not taking the risk. I'm gonna go for option A on this one. But audience, I would love to know your thoughts on this. Which would you prefer to go for? Option A or B? Of course, the link to this tweet will be in the description of the show. He says this now before he's done it. Probably won't be. If not, just go on to Twitter and just type in at REBH Portal and you will find it there and then. We'll see how organized we are when we come to edit this. But that's enough of this. Let's move it on to what we've been playing.
This time on NPS We Trust, what have the boys been playing?
So guys, it's been 2 weeks since the last podcast episode and I'm desperate to know what you've been up to in that time. Now Spence, gonna come across to yourself as we always do. What have you been playing?
A big load of fuck all, mate. I've not been playing video games at all lately. There's only one thing I've actually played in the last 2 weeks. Unless I mentioned it last time, which I don't think I did. And that's that I started Siberia 2. If you'll remember, we finished Siberia. And now we're back again. It picks up immediately where the first left off. Just you finish number 1 by getting on a train. And number 2 starts with you on that train journey. And then it's just more of the same game. It's brilliant. It's great.
Nice. So you're enjoying it just as much as you were on the original then?
A bit, I don't know, because it's better and worse in the same way. In that I actually have no idea what this one's about. Whereas in Siberia 1, your goal, you find out pretty much instantly. And that's what you're working towards. In this one, I still don't really know what we're trying to achieve.
So you mentioned there's a change in how the story is sort of delivered. In this one, it seems to be a bit more confusing when the game sort of starts. But is there any sort of fundamental differences and sort of upgrades between Siberia and Siberia 2? I don't know the gap in time between the two games coming out. Was it quite considerable?
Yeah, mate. So there's actually a 2-year came So the first one came out on the 9th of January 2002. And the second one came out on the 29th of March 2004. With that time gap in mind, they are the exact same fucking game. I don't know what took 2 years, but they are 1-to-1 with each other. It maybe looks a bit prettier, like it looks nicer, but that's it. Other than that, it's the same fucking font. Everything's 1-to-1 the same thing.
The font hasn't changed.
Nothing's changed. It's just the same game, just with a new story, but it's great.
No, fair. And I suppose the thing is, if you, like you did, you really enjoyed the first one, right? So you don't really want that departure. Like, especially like a number 2 entry should just build on what was already there and make it better. How far into this experience are you to not know kind of where the story is? And is that kind of worrying you to not really know where this is heading yet?
I'm like 3 or 4 hours in, 2 to 4 hours in that ballpark. And I've only had the one session I've played it so far. But quite a lot has happened. I don't want to spoil Siberia because I reckon you boys would love it and I reckon you should play it at some point. But it's following the first game with the stuff that's happened is going to be really hard to explain. The amount of stuff that has happened is all quite big. You have a rough idea of what's happening. You're trying to get to a certain place with someone. You're trying to get them there. And that is it. That's the whole thing. It's their dream to go there, and you're just living through them. But how we get there, where we go along the way, and what our actual goal is, what we want to be there for, I have no idea.
Sounds like a real-life version of me taking Cass to Universal Studios when Super Mario World opens. Like, the adventure, if I documented that, Siberia 3. That's what I'm hearing.
Don't know if that's what it'd be called, but yeah.
Yeah. Probably just Super Mario. Well, you can't use Super Mario World 3, can you? That's already been taken. They've already done that. So I'll have to come up with something. But no, I'm really glad to hear it, mate. And even though you haven't been playing anything else, you know, it's nice to be able to at least have a social experience with your mates and tick off another couple of games on your kind of backlog list. And I do like that we're coming to you for kind of like Retro Corner at the moment, and you're experiencing some of these.
I can tell you the list if you want, mate.
Ooh, go on. Yeah, actually, I wouldn't mind knowing what's on your list. It's not like monstrous, is it?
No, it's only a few games.
Go on then.
Right, so the games we have completed so far are Silent Hill, Silent Hill 2, Super Monkey Ball, Siberia, and Shadow of the Colossus.
Great games.
A game we started and decided not to finish is Naughty Bear.
yeah, fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dog shit game.
Understandable, yeah.
And then we have the games left in console order. So for PS1 games, Disney's Tarzan, Beyblade, RE1, 2, 3, CV, and 0.
Oh,
There we go.
oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Parasite
that bumped
Eve,
it up. Yeah.
Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, Clock Tower, Croc and the Legend
Ooh,
of the
Clock Tower.
Gobbos. Then PS2, Siren 1 and 2, Obscure 1 and 2, Fatal Frame, Rayman 3, Bully, Silent Hill 3, Ben 10, Protector of Earth. I put that one in there. Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, Rule of Rose.
Fucking hell.
GameCube, Metroid Eternal Darkness, Pikmin, Super Monkey Ball 2. PS3, MGS2, MGS3, Eco, Bioshock 2, Bioshock 1, Siren Blood Course, Asura's Wrath, Condemned, Fear, I'm trying to be quick. Siberia 2 for the Switch, which we're doing. And then PS4, PS5, Last Guardian, Metro 2033, RE7, RE8, Tormented Souls, Signalis, Crow Country, Layers of Fear, and Monkey Island.
Jesus
Christ.
fucking hell.
It was longer than I remembered it being. My apologies.
It's a big list.
That's a long old list, bro.
Yeah, it's way longer than I remembered it being. I thought it was like 10 games.
Before I chuck it over to yourself, Phil, I just want to say a few things. I think that list is like 90. You know, like if we watch a conference and you come out of it and you're like, fucking hell, that conference has some absolute bangers. There's some shit in there that would be on our kill list, right? Like Ben 10, fucking
Disney's Tarzan.
Tarzan's, I remember it being all right as a kid. I don't ever remember it being like, it wasn't as good as Aladdin, right? Like the Aladdin games are actually sick.
Hard as well, with the lava level.
Oh, mate, great game. Great fucking game. Hercules game slaps tits as well. Great game. I can't remember Tarzan being up there. It might be. I mean, it could be my memory failing, right? You've got 90% of that list is fucking class. I think you have an amazing time with most of that list. And then just the odd spattering of, like, your naughty bear experience. We like, this was a mistake.
That's because we want to kind of, we want to pace ourselves. So we want a few masterpieces and then we want to ground ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
Pick something that'll remind us why these games are as good as they are.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. I really like it. I think it's definitely a slaps for me.
Yeah, I've got to echo those thoughts. I'm coming in with the slaps as well, because you basically do a tour of survival horror in every console. So you're picking up all the classics throughout all the different consoles that we've been through and that you've missed. I'm assuming a lot of those games, Spence, you've never played. I know you've played a lot of the Resident Evil games, but maybe not the Silent Hill. You're experiencing those for the first time ever. And then, of course, you've mentioned like Clock Tower and things like that, and Siren. So yeah, it's a huge list, but there is some shit in there. Some real shit. But I understand why you've got that in there, and it's not purely your choice, was it? So you can always blame that on your friend.
I think most of the shit was me, but yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, dickheads, man.
Well, there you go. Well, you'll have to just keep us going on Retro Corner. I quite enjoy this feature, but really well done. The feature I do want to hear is yourself, Mr. Hoy. Last time we spoke all about the GOAT of this generation, or one of the GOATs of this generation, in terms of Dead Space Remake. How are you getting on with it?
Really, really good. Just like I'm getting on really, really well with my McDonald's cup. I'm sipping on a Fanta this episode, and it wasn't just a random advert for McDonald's with my introduction of ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it. It's because I've had a McDonald's, guys, and I feel great. It's the first McDonald's I've had in absolutely ages. And I kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit, right? I'm on a pedestal. I don't just have to talk about PlayStation here. Of course, I've got some wonderful games I want to talk about, but let's spit some shit, right? Let's talk about McDonald's a little bit, right?
Class, yeah.
So I went in, I did my gym session earlier, came around the corner, and I thought, well, I haven't got a lot of time. Davey's on his way home. We're going to be doing a little bit of podcasting. So I need to get some food. There's no food in the house. Laura's out. So where do I go? McDonald's. Pulled in the drive-in and I ordered the Phil Classic, which is a filet fish, no tartar sauce, 9 chicken nuggets, Fanta no ice, and large fries, and a barbecue dip as well, which they neglected to put in the order. Pulled up to the little counter. All right, bruv. Paid my dues. And he said, oh, can you pull around to the car park? Where we've got a bit of a queue. I was like, oh, bloody hell, I'm going to be late for the podcast. I'm going to miss it for the sake of a McDonald's. But I didn't. I was here before you, Davey, because he came around the corner 2 minutes later and he delivered. And it was an absolute beautiful McDonald's. And I'm still sipping on my Fanta right now. So I am loving it, guys. There's my McDonald's update.
Out of all the sponsors to try get, this one ain't it. It ain't it. This one isn't coming.
I would rate them a full 5 stars.
Well, Phil, I loved hearing about Mackey's, and keep the dream alive. Maybe one day we could get sponsorship from them. Not anytime soon, I'm afraid, though. Maybe set our sights a little bit lower. Maybe go for like a Wimpy or something. We might be able to get that.
Miss Millie's fried chicken, maybe.
Oh, no chance. They're way too out of our league. We need to go proper low. Maybe we get like a Cambran or maybe a local Bristol
charcoal grill in Caldecott.
There you go. That's our level at the moment.
Achievable goals, lads. I like
yeah,
this.
that's achievable.
One step at a time. One step at a time.
Exactly. If they could sponsor a local football team, they can sponsor our podcast, can't they? Even if it's 10% off on a kebabi on a night out, I'll gladly take it.
Class.
Bringing it back to video games, though, please, I'm desperate to know, I'm gagging. How are you getting on with Dead Space?
God, if I have to speak about video games, sure, I will. Well, Dead Space isn't the only game I've been playing, because I have been playing copious amounts of League of Legends. So just to update you quickly, I know this is a PlayStation podcast, but there are some listeners out there, and a couple that I've actually been speaking to via the League client and via Discord. They're interested in a bit of League, so I thought I'd just give you a quick update. So I've switched to support, okay, Davey? So originally I was top lane, but now I've come down to the bottom to support my brethren. I've been playing a character called Janna, okay? And the Tempest is at my command. She is an enchanter, and she's a mysterious elemental wind spirit, armed with the power of Runeterra's gales. Scary, right? And she's absolutely cracked at low elo, so I'm picking up a lot of wins, and it's probably been my most consistent run of League in a good number of years. I've been on a 63% win rate currently, which is really strong for League, especially when you drop into certain matches and people go 0-10, and you've got to try and save the day. And Janna is one of those characters that can actually change games at low elo because she's a healer, right? And she can protect idiots, which is 99% of the people that I play League with. So that's where I'm at with League. Any questions from yourselves?
What does an ELO mean?
What's an ELO mean? So there's certain levels within League. I'm right at the bottom, so I'm like Iron at the moment. Oh. And then you can go all the way up to sort of Challenger level, which is like your pros.
Yes,
okay.
It's your MR.
Yeah.
Oh, it's your ranking. Your ranking is your ELO.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, I see. And so that's why it's so important to be this class, because, as you said, you're keeping the other scrubbos alive.
Exactly that. I have the power to keep people alive. So I've gone for an enchanter character, okay? Rather than someone who's trying to carry the game. And some people will go in and they'll pick certain characters, maybe like Yasuo or someone like that, or Yone, and they'll carry the game. Or Akali's very good at like carrying a game at low elo because she just goes out of control. But I've gone the other way with the character that supports these idiots and pushes them forward and stops them from dying so damn much. So that's my attempt to start to climb the ranks a little bit, and it's going particularly well with 63% win rate, so I'm pretty happy with that one. So I thought it'd be good enough just to slip into the podcast, seeing as all I've talked about so far is McDonald's. I've now switched it around a little bit, and now we're talking a little bit about video games, but we haven't got to PlayStation just yet.
No, fair. Do you know what? I'm happy for you that things are going well, and I can't imagine how frustrating playing League on your own must be. It's hard enough when you're playing a game where there's like you're playing duos. Like say you drop into duos on like Apex or whatever, and you're with one other random. So there's only half of you that are letting the side down at that point. Let alone if there's several people and they're all bollocks. That must be the worst, because then you think, well, they're just ruining my chances of being able to actually level up here. And it's kind of luck of the draw of who you get matched with rather than your own skill to a certain extent.
Yeah, 100%. And like even at really low level, there are people that understand certain elements of the game. But because I watch so much League of Legends, I understand the way the map is moving. I understand when to attack, when not to attack, etc., etc. But most people at my level do not understand any of these concepts. And it's very hard to get that idea over, especially when you're on an island in top lane. At least if I'm a support character, I can sort of try to move the jungler, move my ADC towards where things should be playing out. So yes, I think support is the way to climb out of low elo.
Spence, surely you got more thoughts than me. I'm out. I'm totally dry.
I was just watching you trying to see the gears turn in your head, mate. Whilst you were taking in all the information. All I can really say, I don't really have a question about it, but in my old days of the Rift, back when I was a decent rank, I think I was gold, I played support back then, mate. A little bit of ADC, a little bit of top lane. But I mostly played support as well. I played Soraka, I played Sona, mostly Soraka. She was
so enchanters.
Yeah. They heal up your lads. But I also have a rank in League now, and I am the lowest rank in the game. I am Iron 4.
Congratulations! I'm Iron 3. So I haven't climbed that far, but I'm making steps forward. It takes a long time, Davey. So yeah, this is years worth of thinking and work to get to Iron 3.
Mate, it's crazy. I won 3 out of my 5 games and went positive in all of them, and it gave me Iron 4. I'm assuming.
I would kill myself, boys. Like being
it's
that
not
low.
That deep, mate. Just stop playing. Come on.
No, end it, dude. Iron. Can you imagine, like,
Iron?
Iron's terrible, man. Like, if I got put in, I don't even know what Iron looks like in Street Fighter 6. I honestly have no point of reference. I don't know what that is. If I was in Iron, I can imagine it's a case that people are just rubbing their face across the controller, right? Like, I can't imagine how frustrating it must be to be competent gamers and to be in Iron with several other people that are just weighing you down, man, like a fucking anchor. Like I would end it, dude. I'd end it, man. I wouldn't live like you guys are.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to achieve, and I'd be very proud if I can get up to, this gold and silver levels. That's kind of the aim, really. I think I would class myself as being okay at League if I got to those levels, but I got to prove myself, and I think I'm slowly getting there, because I managed to get 4 or 5 wins in a row, and I was thinking, yeah, Janna's the character to start playing, because I can actually change things. So, yeah, it's been very good, and as I said, there's been a couple of different people who listen to the podcast who actually join me in games and join me over Discord for a little bit of a chat while I've been playing, and I always make sure to go in the voice comms while I'm playing, so if anyone does want to jump in or play a ranked match with me, or even play an unranked match with me because I'm super low level, just let me know. I'm always open. I'm always on League.
Enough said about that, the better. Let's get on to something I'm interested in. Let's talk about Dead Space, bro. I've been waiting long enough.
So I've also been playing a little game on the PlayStation called Dead Space. I haven't been playing a huge amount, as you might imagine, because I've been grinding my ass off in League. But I have pushed things forward, okay? So I finished Intensive Care, which is, of course, Chapter 2 within Dead Space. And I've moved on to Course Correction, which, of course, is Chapter 3. Makes sense. Straight after Chapter 2. I've picked myself up a little Ripper, which is a very enjoyable weapon to start using. And I've just finished, if you cast your minds back, to the Centrifuge, okay? So this is a set-piece kind of element within Dead Space, based all around anti-gravity, and it is almost a puzzle. Okay, so you've got to attach 2 clutch generator modules to the centrifuge, okay? And you've got to use a combination of your stasis to slow it down and the kinesis to slide it in. And God, that felt good when I actually got it and I didn't die because enemies keep bloody attacking you. And after you attack it, there was a really funny part because I thought, oh, I'm done here. Kind of done, right? And then the centrifuge obviously starts spinning, right? And I didn't know it was spinning, so I walked out and got slammed straight away. It wasn't the enemies that was attacking me that killed me. No, it was the bloody centrifuge because I just wasn't looking. I just backed out, la-di-da-di-da. I've got to press this switch, to get out of here, go through the door next bit, right? I'm done here. No, I just got slammed by the centrifuge. So once I went back, did some of the parts again and got through, dodged the monsters, went through a door and some tentacle grabbed me, Davey.
Oh, I know exactly where you are. I know exactly where you are. Did anything happen after the tentacle, or is that where you stopped?
I pressed save and went back and played some more League.
No, never.
I was like, I've died quite a bit, so I'll just leave it there. I'm assuming some sort of boss.
Not yet.
Oh,
Not yet.
okay.
You're building your way up, mate. You're building your way up. You'll meet that boss. I think I could be wrong. I think next chapter. But
Okay.
I wouldn't put money on it. I got
think
a few
it's
the
after
next.
then.
Do you think so? What, when he goes to the
Whoa, no spoilers.
No spoilers here. Very, very low key. Where he goes to the place where they grow all the fruit and veg.
Maybe.
I think so. We'll find out next episode, I'm sure, of MPS We Trust.
I'll do a chapter every episode and just update you.
Please don't. Please do more than
I'm
that.
drip
I
feeding
really
you.
want to hear it.
Yeah, this is 13 odd, like 26 weeks, half a year to play to play like a 12-hour experience.
I
think
might
it'd be
get
a bit
bronze though in League, so
Yeah. I don't know if we can use our end of year discussion on terms of best games for League to come up. I don't know if that would count or
I'd
not.
put it in. Let's do it.
it's going to get a lot of points. Yeah,
There's not a universe where that wins Game of the Year on this podcast, right? Like
No, but
that
it'll get
cannot
top 5
happen.
every time.
That would be so disappointing, dude. Every year, on number 5, it's League again. Coming in with fucking second place for both of you guys every year. Oh,
Don't tempt
Jesus.
us.
Well, moving on from that, I got some actual, some quite a lot of games actually. So I'm going to make up for you guys on this. I got 3 games to talk about here. I've only put 2 on my list, so you guys might be thinking, what's the third game? But on our group chats, you probably have an idea. So the first is a quick little update for Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Last episode, I talked about how I'd completed the game and I had collectibles and a few other little bits and bobs to do. Well, I have managed to do them all, and I've earned myself the Platinum Trophy. Ooh, that's a Platinum. There we go.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was lovely. The crazy thing is the amount of side areas that I had no idea even existed, which I must have never done as a kid before because they did not ring any bells, was wild. And some of them are really, really fucking good. So it was actually some of the highlight for me was going through and doing some of these side areas because they were really just deep, like unnecessarily deep. And it was it was really enjoyable. Great platinum. And my final trophy I had to do was one that I had locked myself out of on my kind of original playthrough. So I had to load up an earlier save and do a quick little speed run to get back to that point. And what took me hours before took me all of 10 minutes. And I got straight back there and blasted through it. And it was really enjoyable. And it just goes to show like the kind of skill that you pick up from playing a game through and then going back and revisiting those areas when you know where to go, you know what the enemies do, etc. and so on. And yeah, really enjoyable game, really enjoyable platinum. Glad I got it done. The second game on my list is a game called Killer Frequency. Now, Killer Frequency is a game that has been staring at me on the PlayStation Extra catalog for a while. And I installed it quite a number of months ago. I thought I will get to this. Now, the premise, guys, is that you're a late night radio DJ. Okay? And what happens is that there's a killer that's stalking the streets. And the game opens up and you're put in charge of 911 for the small town because the person who does the 911 operators is stabbed. So she has to be taken away. So you get put in charge of this small town late night radio 911. So you get a number of callers who phone in, and your job is to keep them alive. And you do that by solving puzzles while you're on the phone to them, by looking at little clues that you got around the office and little things like that, or listening to what they're saying in their stories and piecing it together to be able to get them out of it alive. And fuck me, it is such an enjoyable experience. It's, for a first time through, I think it takes about 6 hours for a first playthrough. And it is super fun. The voice acting is incredible. The gameplay is very basic. It's basically like a narrative game, like kind of pick your own adventure kind of game almost. But the voice acting is immense. And you've got in front of you, you've got the full DJ booth. So you've got like a soundboard, you've got all this kind of stuff. And it's set in the 80s, so you're putting like LPs on when it goes to like an ad break and shit like that. And it's just really unique and really nice. And I ended up doing 3 separate playthroughs of this game. So I played it, and you cannot skip anything. So there's no way to speed up your playthrough. The first playthrough I did was a keep everyone alive playthrough. And fortunately, it's got an amazing save system that you save it, and then when you load it, you just pick up immediately where you left. So before I started any call, because I knew I had to keep all the calls alive to get the trophy, I'd save before. And then it would mean that 90% I fucked up. Immediately fucked up. And then I was able to experience what I need to do to be able to keep them alive and where I went wrong. Like, for example, there might be one that was a hedge maze, and you've got the map that you find because your co-worker Barbara loves hedge mazes, and this person's in there, and he's like, oh, in front of me to my left I got a orange tractor, and to my right I got this, and you're like, okay, go forwards because you're looking at the map on here. And it's like those kind of things, and it's really fucking cool. The second playthrough then was a kill everyone run. And I got a little clip I'll show you guys in a moment so you can try and visualize the kind of thing I had to go through. And I thought to myself when I started the kill 'em all run, this is going to be boring as hell. Turned out to be one of the most fun experiences I had with it. Because it's a total laugh. It's just, you're obviously trying to get people killed. Like, you're obviously going out of your way. It's so fucking class. And then the third playthrough then was a speed run. So do it all through and do it within 4 hours. And so in total, I spent about 15 hours on this game. And I've earned myself the Platinum Trophy. Ooh, that's a Platinum.
2 in 1 week.
2 in 1 week, baby. 2 in 1 week. But with that in mind, I want to show you guys a clip of Killer Frequency because I know it's a little bit hard to kind of visualize what this game could be like. I've got a clip where I'm obviously going out of my way to get someone killed. Okay?
Okay, let's have it.
Sure.
So for you, you guys who are watching from home and you're watching on the intranets, you're watching on your whatever the fuck you're watching it on, YouTube, whatever it is, you will be able to see this right now. If you're listening on audio, you will hear the audio, but unfortunately you will not be able to see. But Spotify, we do put all our stuff on Spotify, so it is video, so you can have a look at it through there. Here we go.
Okay, go to the office on the other end of the hall, grab the fax from the machine. Easy. This must be it.
Hey, did you get the fax?
I lost it.
How did you lose it? The fax machine is
You'll
just
see me go
down
for
the hall.
save now,
Do you,
just to make sure I don't.
I mean, do you think we could get him to...
I'm sure he'll be more than accommodating.
I like
It's me
sarcastic
saving,
Peggy.
just
I
to be
have
like,
to
oh,
say.
I gotta make sure I kill him.
Mr. Russell, you still with us?
I am. You get my fax?
Can you send it again?
Jesus, Nash. Fine. Just hurry. He's getting close.
Calm down. I'll be right back. Mr. Russell, you still with us?
I am. You get my fax?
Can you send it again?
Forrest,
You're trying to get me killed. Mind you, I hope all the listeners realize that. Damn it! Never thought I'd go out like this. Gallows Creek, here's a last word from me. If
Oh no.
I guess Maurice is like his newspaper now. Red all over.
Forrest. Let's put out. Give us some time to recover.
I think that would be for the best, Peggy. Folks, we'll be back soon. If you have any stories about Maurice that you'd like to share, give us a call after this next track.
do you seek ancient wisdom? Do you want to double your power? Are you ready to unlock your inner warrior? 189.16.
Play a record, Forrest.
Now it's time to go with The Flow. And this is their hit, Crying for Help.
And there it is. And that is what Killer Frequency is all about, boys. It's just an absolute, just really unique little adventure. And I highly recommend you guys check it out. It's on Extra. I would highly, highly recommend it. But any kind of questions on this bad boy before I go on to the final thing I've been playing?
When you were playing through, was there anything that you found sort of difficult? Because it kind of like strikes me as if you're living your life as a podcaster, as a radio DJ, and there's some similarities to what you do on the show and here. So are you in fact actually trying to kill me and Spencer?
No, I wouldn't kill you boys. I mean, any more walking down the path of League of Legends, it may start sneaking into my mind. But right now, no, you're very much safe. And podcasting didn't have too much crossover with this because unfortunately I'm not coming up with the puns at the time. But the puns, when you're killing people, are fucking class. And I didn't get to experience those where I was trying to be nice on my first playthrough. And I really enjoyed them on the second one. I thought, I've got to write some of these bad boys down for if the mood ever strikes.
If someone ever dies.
Well, yeah. Just when the moment hits, you want to be prepared, don't you? And so that's exactly what I was coming at with this. But Spence, this seems more like a game that you would play, I would say, rather than Mr. Hoy. Does this look at least remotely appealing to you, or is this a hard pass?
It does look appealing to me, but I wouldn't say it's one that I'm more likely to play, just because, like we've said in the past, it looks like a perfect Portal game. And I think you boys would. I imagine you probably actually played this on the Portal, didn't you?
I played a playthrough and a half on the Portal, and then when I was back home for an evening on my own, I got for the final ones for the Platty, which were done on the PlayStation 5. But the majority of it was on the Portal because it was on the premium, so I was able to stream it.
Oh,
which was really
nice.
Fucking nice. Yeah, which was lovely.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a me game, but don't count Phil out. I reckon Phil's going to probably play it too. But how long was the actual platinum time?
For me, because I didn't do, because I took longer than 4 hours on my first playthrough, I had to do a third. So for me, my in-game time shows 14 hours. I reckon that's probably quite accurate. I reckon 12, 13. Now, it's not a high platinum percentage, this game. It's sitting on a 1.6. So it's not something that is, like a guaranteed platinum or anything like that. I don't know why it's so much lower than I would say it is, because it certainly wasn't difficult. But yeah, I'd say probably 12 to 14 hours for a platinum, I'd say.
Yeah, it's definitely for me. I'll definitely check it out, but fuck knows when.
As and when. What about yourself, Mr. Hoy? Any interest on this one from you or not really?
Well, I think it looks good. I like the aesthetic and the design that we're sort of seeing with this game. It's very striking. I really like it. I think that's going to stick with me. And I was just reading it. It's made by Team 17, and God, I haven't heard much from them in years. I know them for being the Worms guys. So it's quite interesting to see them sort of rear their head now with this game. And I think, just sort of reading the Wikipedia, it sort of came out, PlayStation 4? And now we've just got it on the PlayStation 5. But how did you play it? Did you buy this game, or was it part of the service?
No, it's part of Extra. So you
Okay.
can get it on PlayStation Extra, so you can play it on your PS5 Pro if you wanted to, while you're waiting for your disc drive to come in. And also,
Still
you can
waiting.
still waiting, and you can get it onto your Portal and play it that way as well if you had Premium. And so you can stream it that way, which is how I played the majority of my experience.
Brilliant. Yeah, I might look at this as an option. But that option list is quite long. There is quite a lot of games that I'm sort of going through at the moment going, oh yeah, I remember talking about that, like Cat Quest, etc., that I should be able to play on my PlayStation Pro and then on Killer Frequency if I play that on the Portal. The list just goes on and on and on, doesn't it? So it's very much finding the time to spend and actually really appreciate this game, because it doesn't look as if it's a game that you can rush. I think it's a very laid back game. It's a very chilled game, but at the same time, you just want to be locked into the comedy and have a laugh all the way through it, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of comedy in there, some great characters the entire way through, and it's a really interesting story that you kind of don't know where it's going for a little while, and then it all starts to come together and click. And the puzzles are actually great. Like, they're really inventive. Some of them are like painfully obvious what you need to do, like with the maze. It's quite easy to be able to find that and be able to solve that one. But there's others where you got to figure out who the next victim's going to be. And you're looking at a board of clues, and you've got to really just read what's there and think, does this make logical sense? Who would this be? And so it's not clear cut. And I think that's what I've really found an appreciation for it. And when I was trying to follow it through and, save everyone, obviously I was kind of like fucking it up, and they'd be like, oh, I wonder what I should have done here. I'll just try a different option, right? And it wasn't until like my second playthrough where I was like, I understand why I missed this, right? And it's that kind of thing. And there is a little bit of depth here. Which is really quite welcome in a game which otherwise could be really quite straightforward. But I think the last thing I'll say on this in terms of rating, I will give this a strong 8 out of 10.
Oh, that is very strong. 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must have enjoyed it.
I really did. I mean, 3 playthroughs, I'm not going to do that for something I don't really enjoy. And I just found it did grab me from the start, and I wanted to see it through. So I would highly, highly recommend it. So the last game I want to talk about today is actually a demo. And it is the first Berserker Kazan, which you can find right now on your PlayStation 5. This demo only got released a week or so ago. And fuck me, this game was not on my watch list at all. We'd seen a couple of trailers for this over the last few months. The last trailer I remember seeing was at, I think it was the Game Awards. I remember thinking that the art style looked cool, but there's so many kind of Souls-like experiences that am I really that bothered about it? And the answer for me was no, I wasn't. And then I started seeing some buzz online. People saying like, oh my god, this demo's sick. Like, you gotta check this demo out. And I thought, well, I got a couple of hours before I'm gonna go to bed. I'll download it, I'll give it a go. 2 hours later, I finished that demo. Fucking hell, man. It is great. It is so fucking good. What it is Sekiro combat in the way it works, but with more kind of Dark Souls methodology built onto it. And this sounds weird, right? Like, you guys haven't played Sekiro, I don't think. So Sekiro is a game of parries. It's all parries. And what happens is an enemy's got a health bar, and they got 3 pips, or 2 pips, or 1 pip on Sekiro. And the idea is that you parry enough that they get exhausted, that you then do a kind of finishing blow, which takes a pip. And so Sekiro is all about you can get hits, but they do fuck all the health bar. It's all about whittling down their kind of stance gauge, and then you can get the finishing blow. And that's how Sekiro works. This has a very similar mechanic in terms of they've got a bar, like Neo or something like that, and they get knackered if they're hitting you. You on the same level have the same kind of bar, and it's about managing that resource while you're doing normal attacks. But if you do manage to parry enough, you can hit them for like a special attack which hurts more. But it doesn't like take a pip or anything, it just takes a larger portion of their health bar. But that's certainly not the way that you have to go about beating them like it is with Sekiro. And so it's a way that you could play your own play style. And for me, like when I play Dark Souls, I play big hitting stuff, very slow typically, the way I play, in terms of I have like a big fucking sword, I'm hitting them for big damage, but I don't get many hits in, right? That's the way I like to play Souls games for whatever reason. I think I'm just fucking broken with that, and that's just the way I am, rather than enjoying the flashy, fun, fancy-free combat. This game has 3 different builds that you can swap through at any point you like with their own skill trees, and those skill trees can be reset at any time you want to. Those 3 weapons are dual-wielding sword and axe, which is really quick, really fucking ferocious, and it's like a nice all-rounder. You've then got a gut-style berserk greatsword, which you can barely fucking lift. And then finally, you've got a spear. So a la like God of War Ragnarok, where you're very quick and nimble, and defensive options don't really seem that well suited for it. It's more like you're doing hits, you're being very quick with it. You can't switch between those weapons in real time. So you can't like start it with the heavy, switch over to your light, and go from there. You very much pick which one you're going for at that moment by going to a menu and respecking for whatever available skill points you have into that weapon to go in. And I found, as soon as I found that great sword, I was set, right? Like, that's all I used throughout, body and shit. Like, absolutely body and shit. Until I got to the final boss of this demo. Now, there's 3 bosses that you fight across this demo, I believe. The first 2 I died once, maybe, and then just blasted them on the second time. This last boss was like I was playing fucking Elden Ring against Mesmer. I died at least 15 times. I got my shit rocked. And I was like, okay, I gotta fucking level up here. I gotta realize what I'm doing wrong. And I'm going to... It kind of feels like in the way you play it, something like a Stellar Blade or something, where it's, you know, like very fast and fluid, but it's not. And it punishes you when you realize that you are not playing like a hack and slash adventure game. And it fucking really hurts you. And it took me a long time for that lesson to be learned. As soon as I did, so fucking satisfying. And I switched between all the different weapons on that final boss. And when I conquered it, this game comes out in March. It's a definite buy from me. Like a fucking definite buy. And I would highly recommend you guys check out this fucking demo, because the best thing about it, your progress carries forward into the main game, which is hallelujah. So you don't have to waste your time. You will just carry forward with the build that you've built up to that point. Spence, how does this all sound to you?
It sounds like a dream, mate. It just sounds beautiful. I don't, with Souls-esque games though, I think I prefer the progression doesn't carry over, because I'd like to go through that start again knowing what I know, if you know what I mean. That's like the joy of Dark Souls, of replaying it, is being like, I know how you work, and smoking the boss. So that I'd quite like, but you could just delete your save, I'd imagine it'd be fine.
Of course you can, yeah. It'll just start a new game.
But, I mean, yeah, sounds like a bit of fucking me, doesn't it? So I'll try that out, easy. Happy days.
Yeah, I think you'll really, really enjoy it. And Phil, one thing for yourself that you might get a kick out of this, unlike a Souls game where it is just a case of you are stuck on that difficulty, after you get past the first initial part, it gives you an option then for in terms of how you want your difficulty. Either normal or easy. Normal being a case of you like a challenging action-adventure title, you're used to this genre. Easy being a case of you're in it to have kind of fun with the game, right? So I imagine it's more like toned down a little bit. Obviously, I went for normal, and for 99.999% of it, I'd say that you can get through. Anybody could get through, no problem. That final boss, not everyone's getting through that on normal. Like, I'll tell you now, like, Lewis, where he hasn't played a Souls game before, he'd struggle with that. Like, he'd really, it fucking kicked my ass for a while. So I can imagine that somebody who's not used to being able to do that kind of stuff would have a struggle with it. But being able to have difficulty options within this, Phil, and have it so that it could be tailored down to any kind of experience that one is looking for, would you be at least remotely interested in this, or is this a hard pass?
Well, you know how I feel about Souls games, and I think you always miss the point of the reason why I dislike Souls games. I think you just think they're too hard for me, and that's why I don't play them. And that's the point you seem to want to hammer home. But no, that's not really the reason I dislike Souls games. I just don't get on with them. It's just not within my remit. I don't like racing games, and it's not because they're hard. I just dislike racing games as well. But there are certain games that obviously I like like, and that's where I like to spend my time. League's very hard. But I was just reading a little bit on the Steam page about this game that you've just introduced to us, and they call it a hardcore action role-playing game. I think they're very conscious to avoid the all Souls-like moniker that seems to be attached to a lot of games now as almost like a selling point. It seemed to be like that with Stellar Blade when that was sort of publicized, wasn't it? It was like, ooh, the new Souls-like game, or, a slight twist on the Souls-like genre. But I don't know if that really worked out well for Stellar Blade, because I think a lot of people got into it and was expecting something that it wasn't, because it was more arcadey. So I think they've purposely tried to move away from that within the marketing that I'm seeing initially, because I've only just started Googling it when you did your introduction. But it's good to hear that this is coming out in March, so maybe one for your Fantasy Critic. Of course, I won't know what you're going to pick for your Fantasy Critic, because we're doing that after, aren't we, Davey?
Yeah, we didn't record that yesterday.
Definitely not. So you never know, it might come up later in our fantasy picks. I probably won't be picking it, but we'll see if you pick it later on. But yes, we are big believers in a good demo, aren't we? Here on NPS We Trust. A good demo very much sells the game, and that sounds exactly what this has done for you. So if you're putting in the pre-order, I think there's going to be a lot of people out there, or probably not that many people, because you told me last time, Souls isn't a big market. You know, your hardcore Souls heads isn't really a big market, but a dedicated market. So I think those are the guys and the girls out there, and everything in between, that's going to be playing this demo and immediately picking this up. So I think when they're calculating their analytics and calculating how many sales they're going to be getting for this game, there's probably going to be 1-to-1 with the demo, because you're probably not going to play the demo and be put off by it, because you already understand it's a hardcore action game, or Souls game, if you like.
Yeah. And I think you're exactly right. I think you're hitting the nail on the head. And the thing about the demo is, what is quite nice about it is that it very much eases you in. You think you've kind of seen everything within like first 20 minutes, like you would do on like a Souls, for example. Like if you're playing a Souls game, 5 minutes in, you know what you're in for, right? Nothing really changes from that start other than the kind of enemies. What, you disagree with that sentiment? When does anything change?
5
from the
minutes
start?
in?
Yeah.
It depends which Souls, because like DS1, you see the Asylum Demon, I suppose, like right away. It depends which one, man. It depends. Oh, no, all of them.
All of them. Within 5 minutes, you know how to attack, you know how to dodge, you know how to parry, you know how
and
to
there's
hit.
a big boss that you're supposed to lose to.
Yeah.
In all of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, I'll give it you.
This doesn't. It slowly filters through mechanics and different things. Like you have a javelin for range combat, which then has a little pip system, which then you refill from your skill trees and speccing into certain things. So it unfolds. And by the end of the demo, I was like, fuck, I'm good. Like, I know what I'm doing. I want to play. And then it's like, fuck, gotta wait too much. And I suppose that's what you're saying, Phil, is that a great demo should make you like really want to fucking play more. Like I think about like the Tanker demo on MGS2. I must have played that demo about like 5 million times, and it's just like, God, I can't wait till I see what happens here. And then we're not doing what I thought we were doing.
Not to take this too far off topic, but God, I love a good demo. I loved buying the PlayStation magazine every month, getting those demos, and wanting to buy those games, because of course I was a child at the time, so I didn't really have a lot of money. Did a bit of a paper round, and I got pocket money, so I could save up, but it took me a long time to buy games, and obviously we spent a lot of time in those games at that stage in my life. But a great demo, it made you think about that game for months before you were able to buy it. I think now, because of the consumerism that we have and the fast flow of data and information that we have out there, it's much quicker, and having a great demo now is definitely going to up those sales in March for sure.
Bro, I tell you, if I got that demo disc, I didn't even think about buying the game. That demo disc was my game. That was it. All I needed.
What, it like did the reverse for you? It didn't make you want to buy the game. You thought, I've got the game here. It's just 2 levels long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Completed it.
Well, I was a kid, bro. I'd play that shit endlessly. I didn't need the full thing. I got everything unlocked from the start.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Those old demos were nuts. Where like you'd be in the opening area with like every ability, like end game ability. I remember that like in a God of War 3 demo, that there was a part where you like it's showing off like one of the systems they had in God of War 3, which was insane at the time, was when you like did like a glory kill to steal it from Doom. Yeah, because I can't remember what they call it in God of War. We'd like rip something in open. it'd be like the Minotaur was the demo in God of War 3, and you'd stab it and rip it, and the entrails would all come out of it, and it would like all spill out, and they'd be like all like even heat coming from it and stuff, and it was like, oh shit, like oh fuck. But you're going into that with like stuff that you got like Hercules' fucking gauntlets that you don't get for like another 6 hours later, just in that demo because it's fucking cool. So let's just show it off. Whereas what they've done here is they just carved off the first portion of this game and just put that up as a demo. Much like they did for the Final Fantasy 16 demo, which obviously you guys didn't enjoy. But that sold me on that game. Very similar thing. So audience, if you are looking for your next Sekiro Soulsy experience, because it's very much a combination of the two, highly recommend you to go on and check out the first Berserker Kazan. And for me, it's a definite purchase when we get to March. But with that, let's move the show on to the quick news. Quick news.
Quick news. Welcome viewers, welcome listeners to Quick News. Thank you very much for watching or listening to the start of our show. If indeed you have come through now to Quick News, the section of the show where we pick the latest and greatest from the PlayStation Nation to share with you. We have 2 news items to go through each, and of course we like to mix it up, don't we, boys? And this time round, the king has told us that we need to be doing impressions. Now, every time we do the impression round, Spencer looks a little awkward because he very much dislikes doing impressions. And to be fair, I'm somewhat middling on impressions as well. I think it's just something that Davey likes to do to put us on the spot and make us feel a little awkward. So here goes. This time round, Davey, I'm going to swing it round to you first. So we're going to go to yourself, then to Spencer, then back round to me. And I'm going to nominate your first impression. And the category we're going to be doing for tonight is objects or activities that you will find on the beach. See what I did there?
Okay.
On
Making
the
a note
beach.
here. On the beach. Oh, I get it. Death Stranding reference. Oh, I get it.
Sprinkling references all throughout the show for people that are switched on.
Go on then, Phil. Hit me with your on the beach. What am I doing here? Or is it just anything? I can just go for anything I want, or is this you have to name something?
So the way we've been doing it this time round is that I will nominate something for you to do an impression of, and at the end we'll pick our favourites, and we will punch down on the ones that stumble a little bit, or come up with an impression that we think is slightly out there. Cool! So your impression, Davey, for tonight, I want to hear you eating some chips on the beach.
Okay.
Because this is a British beach, okay? I need to specify. That's the caveat for tonight. It's things you'll find on a British beach, okay?
Okay. British beach. Got it. Okay. Oh, cheers, darling. So, did you put salt and vinegar? Yeah, darling, I know you like it. Extra salt and vinegar. Yeah. Lovely, these chips. Joe, driving down all the way from London, down here to sunny Cornwall, all I've been looking forward to is a nice portion of fishing. Fish and chips. Oh, it's bloody tasty. Seagulls getting a bit bloody close, aren't they, love? I don't mind them any. Don't pay them any bother, dear. They'll be fine. As long as they don't get my bleeding.
Shit out.
My chips! That fucking seagull stole my chips! Quick news. The foreshadowing there, boys. Hope you enjoyed that. Foreshadowing. The first bit of news we got today is from this one. Right. This one's nuts, lads, right? If you've not had a chance to view the doc, I think this will blow your mind a little bit. So, there's a game which just been announced called Code Violet. Okay, now, I've put the link to the video on here. I probably won't remember to put it in for you guys at home. So, if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. The trailer itself is a brand new exclusive for the PlayStation 5 launching this year from Team Kill Media. Now, Team Kill Media have made a couple of middling games for PlayStation 5 across this generation already. I really like what they're all about. They always say that they're making survival horror and bringing survival horror experiences back. And their last one was all around being a firefighter. And I waited for it to come out. It didn't review very well. And the more I read into it, the worse it looked. So I didn't bother checking it out. This one, though, is a spiritual successor to Dino Crisis. Now, the first things first is, have you guys seen the trailer? And if you have, what are your thoughts on it? Spence, have you bothered to see the trailer?
You were late coming in to the Riverside where we record our podcast episodes, listeners. And in that time, we were waiting for you. I have seen the trailer. So
Ooh.
prior to an hour ago, I hadn't, no. But now I have. And what a sick... what? It's a trailer of a video game, is what it is. And I already don't like Dino Crisis.
So
Come on.
I take it that this one didn't really appeal to you?
There are things I liked about it, but I think we'll get a bit deeper in a minute. But no, it didn't.
Okay, all right. Well, moving on from there then. Mr. Hoy, have you had a chance to be able to check out this little gem of a trailer?
Why, yes, I have, Davey. And you know me, I'm a massive fan when it comes to Dino Crisis. I was one of the guys to put that game forward when we were playing the Blast from the Past games. If any of our hardcore fans will remember that time, we went back and played a Dino Crisis. And I was the one that sort of talked this game up because I absolutely love Dino Crisis. So when I saw this in the dock, and I saw spiritual successor to Dino Crisis, started to get me a little hot under the collar, and I started to raise my eyebrow a little bit in anticipation for said trailer. But I watched it, and by God, I was let down. It fell off an absolute cliff. And when we were talking yesterday, I think it was, we noticed a few similarities to certain things that maybe we'd seen before. So it's almost like a hodgepodge or an amalgamation of lots of iconic things within video game and film that they've just put together and slapped a dinosaur on the top. Now, for me, that's not really where I'd want my spiritual successor to Dino Crisis to go. And of course, this isn't by Capcom. Right? So for me, this isn't a spiritual successor. If I was Capcom, my lawyers be knocking on the fucking door because this is terrible. Like, Spencer already hates Dino Crisis, right? So we need to rescue it. The first two had quite high Metacritic scores, but then, of course, yes, the series did fall off a cliff with the Light Gun game and Dino Crisis 3. So we need a spiritual successor to bring that series back. But with this I'm not classing as a spiritual successor because this is absolute tripe.
Tripe. Wow, he's going for the 1940s insults on this. This, it's hardcore when he's going.
Hates it.
Yeah, he detests it, dude.
Hates it.
Yeah, I gotta agree with both you boys to be on this. When I first saw it, I was actually like, oh my god, they've kind of got me here, right? Like, there's a final shot of the trailer which I think looks pretty good, and it's obviously an on-rail section where she's in the back of a Jeep and the T-Rex kind of bursts through on the background. I thought, fuck me, that looks good. Like, graphically, that looks good. The rest of the trailer looks like fucking PS3 level if you're at fucking best, dude. Like, it's bad. And visuals aren't the be-all, end-all, right? They certainly aren't. But what you've said there, Phil, in terms of I don't know if you can even call it an homage rather than just stealing, dude.
Straight up stealing.
The trailer is the Dead Space 2008 trailer.
It is.
Cut exactly with a bit of Alien 3 chucked in for good measure. And that's it. So it's Alien 3 and Dead Space. And you might think, Davey, doesn't that sound like a fucking great time? Alien 3's fucking trash, right? This game looks questionable at best. I'd put it there. I wouldn't say it's trash. I would probably consider checking it out, right? Like, I probably would. I've played some pretty bad survival horror over my time. I think this is going to be nowhere near the worst that I've ever played, by a long shot. Doesn't fill me with confidence, though. Spence, you felt like you were kind of holding some things back here. Before we kind of delve into the bigger part of this story, give me your kind of final thoughts on this kind of trailer here.
The only thing, there was one positive I pulled out, which was bar one, because there was one outlier. I actually think the voice acting was quite good in that trailer. There
Agreed.
was one character that I laughed when I heard him speak, but other than that, like the singing at the start was actually quite well done, and then all the other characters' dialogue, I thought, you know what, that sounds better than this game looks. So it's not brilliant voice acting, but it's better than the game deserves, I think. But then also, I'm looking at this trailer like I would Tormented Souls' trailer. And I think they're on a similar level, and Tormented Souls turned out to be quite good. So, we're not seeing a lot of it.
No, exactly. And you're right. And I suppose this is the thing about like kind of, I mean, the indie, I don't even know, but lower level kind of horror experiences that are made by the big boys in, your Konamis or your Capcoms, I can forgive quite a lot because you get a lot of originality that's put in there, or you get a lot of throwbacks, which are really, really well done and like a breath of fresh air. To me, this doesn't so much feel like a throwback rather than a total like snatch and grab from what I've seen so far. And that does kind of worry me. But certainly one that I will be keeping an eye on as time goes on. Tell you who won't be keeping an eye on this, guys, is PC. And that is because there's some nuts news from this, right? So this game, as I mentioned earlier, is exclusive to PlayStation 5. And this is kind of the main kind of crux here of where I want to go with this conversation, is a tweet that Team Kill Media put out. And I will read verbatim. For those asking us about a PC version of Code Violet, the reason we are not bringing it to PC is we do not want anyone modding vulgar versions of the main character, as well as other characters in the game. We hold our voice actresses and actors with high regard, as well as our artistic vision for the game and story, and reject any form of destroying that with sexual mods. Making a joke out of our art and possibly tarnishing the reputation of our voice actresses and actors is not worth the extra money we can make. Now, this tweet has 1.5 million views. Here, guys. And out of those 1.5 million views, 2.7k likes. Okay? Read into that what you will. I think this statement's fucking nuts. But before I get into my thoughts, Spence, I want to unpack yours. How are you feeling about this?
Bro, do you hate money? Like, what is the issue? Capcom would never, by the way. Capcom games, the big one. Not going to say what it's called. Flooded with mods. Flooded with big titty Ada Wong, tight, snatch, clear. I don't know how deep the mods get. I don't know. But I'm sure they probably might get to that level. This is fine, bro. Who cares about mods? And it's just, I think that's a bit crazy. That's like saying we're better than Capcom, I think, which is nuts. That's an outrageous thing to do. Why? Also, one of the final shots of the trailer, by the way, is the main character looking away with the fattest ass and the tightest trousers I have ever seen. You don't want to be sexualized. You're doing it yourself. I couldn't believe. I saw that shot and thought, oh, I might get this game. Well, just lying. It's contradiction, I think. I think they could get done,
Well, they get done. Well, Mr. Lloyd, what are your thoughts on this?
I find it absolutely hilarious. And I just think the moment this tweet went up, in everybody's mind, it was the SpongeBob meme, wasn't it? 5 minutes later, and then there's just a flood of sexual content, because that's what they're inviting. They're basically saying, let's produce sexual content for this game, please. They're putting it on a plate and offering it up and begging us, begging every single person, begging the 1.5 million people that have viewed that to start making some sexual content for their game. So hopefully it succeeds, because this type of game, maybe that might be their way to actually make sales. Exactly what Spencer was saying. Without it, you're going to get a couple of, hardcore survival horror fans such as yourself, Davey, maybe delving in if it isn't thrown in as part of PS Plus. But no, they're inviting the sexual content, so they're going to go to all that market and make some money. I think it's really smart. They've double bluffed you. They want the sexual content. They've given you a little taste at the end with the tight pants, and it's nothing to do with their skill with the textures. They probably couldn't do too much more. They couldn't make the pants look baggy, so they're tight. Probably not that skilled, right? They couldn't do layers within it. So they're just inviting you to make the most sexual content here, and I'm for it. Bring it on.
I love where you guys go with this. For me, I reckon, and this might be one of those like kind of tinfoil hat things, but for me, this is a purely smart marketing move. That's all this is. This is a case that if this was releasing everywhere, would eyes be on it? No. What causes eyes? Outrage. Let's start some outrage by saying that you can't mod it, and that's why we're not putting it on there, because you PC guys are deviants, sitting over your fucking keyboards, eating your fucking Cheetos, jacking it off while you're making big tit fucking Bessie, whoever the main character fucking name is, I don't even know. I think they had no intention to release this on PC in any way, shape, or form, and it's just a case of, how can we get more eyes on our project? Let's make a bullshit fucking reason, because the internet will be pissed off at it and it will get more eyes onto our project. And fair play, it's worked. 1.5 million for this. Tormented Souls could never hope to be able to get anywhere near that level of kind of engagement. And it would not feature on our show, right? If it wasn't for the fact that such an outrageous statement has been made, because this is throwing. But the thing about it is, right, you can't throw money away from a platform if it wouldn't fucking sell there anyway. So you might as well just get it in more people's fucking minds, so that at least people will fucking know the game exists where they wouldn't have otherwise. And I think that is the sole reason, because they did a very similar thing on their last game's release, if I'm remembering right, where they said, and the only reason I remember this, because I was thinking about putting this up for a conversation point on a past episode of our podcast, and that was their last game. They were saying, it's not releasing on Xbox because we cannot get it to run on Xbox Series X. And I thought, huh? Like, there's no fucking way it couldn't run. It wasn't that it wasn't even visually impressive. It was just average at best. And they were like,
was it Series X or Series S?
Series S, sorry. Series S.
Say.
They were saying they couldn't get it to run on that. And that caused a lot of outrage. And they were like, so instead we focused on the PlayStation 5 version and we've really made the best it can be and blah, 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 blah. I think they're just going back to the well and they're like, what else can we do here? Because that last dip helped our game a little bit. We need to string up something else. And this time we're going to pick on the PC modders. And I think they fucking mission compris. I think they fucking nailed it, right? But I think this is the most fucking clear-cut case of someone just fucking stirring up shit to get attention. How do you guys feel about that?
It's very similar to where I was going with it. And it sounds like they've joined the Andrew Tate kind of university, haven't they, here? Where you've just got to create as much controversy as humanly possible by saying the most heinous things online, and you become one of the most famous people in the world, okay? Now, he puts himself along the same lines as Donald Trump, Elon Musk, but he's not. But when he says things, people believe him on the internet. Okay, they're a reputable, semi-reputable development company, games design studio. Now, they're not going as far as to use the N-word like Andrew Tate continuously does to draw attention to himself, but they've gone a step further than most, haven't they, here with this one? And I agree with you 100%, boys. It's just to get more eyes on it to hopefully make a couple of extra bucks.
To be fair, now that you've said the whole piece as well about the past game and everything, yeah, it makes sense. 1.5 million views, that's more than this game was ever going to sell. 1.5 mil. It was never going to get close. And now it might get a bit closer to that number. So yeah, mate, bang on.
Scum, aren't they? Absolute scum. It's scummy tactics, and I'm seeing straight through it. Audience.
Oh, nah. Respect. Game sees game, bro.
Well, to be fair, yeah, all right. Joe, I'll let it slide. Joe, I'll let it slide.
Game, mate.
I'll let it slide. Although, don't be so on the nose with it. try and put something in there, try and mask it a little bit, try and massage the message down, maybe water it down a little bit so it's at least palatable. Whereas at the moment, someone like myself, who sits very much in the medium, like we all do on this podcast, we're all very, we can look at things with a bit of logic behind it, I would say, for 99% of our opinions, other than your 6 out of 10 Metal Gear Solid opinion, Spence. And we can say this is bullshit. And so, audience, I encourage you to look at it with a logical head. This is the only way it makes sense, surely. But if you feel differently, please let us know. Now, let's hand it over to yourself, Spence. And as we're doing a topic of on the beach, and we're talking about a British beach in particular, I would like you to do an impression of somebody going out into the sea, into that cold British water for the first time, and take it anywhere you want to. There's all myriad of creatures and things that you can find in our lovely British water.
Well, I can't swim, so I'd never get that far. So all I know,
I keep forgetting about this.
all I know, or for me, what it would be is just, ooh, ooh. Once my balls are through, it's fine. Just gotta get the balls under. Acclimated. I don't like him, Mum.
Mum?
No, come get me.
If this is correctly clipped and we don't put the introduction to what you're doing there, Spence, I think that could be semi-confusing for a lot of people, what you've just done an impression of.
Well, fair enough. That's fine. Close your eyes. It could be many impressions. That's how talented I am, mate. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
Quick
Grief.
news. So, as always, lads and listeners, I am going to be bringing once again the PlayStation Plus game catalog January 2025 update. And this is as follows: God of War Ragnarok for the PS4, PS5. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. Why would you? PS4, PS5. Atlas Fallen, Reign of Sand, PS5. SD Gundam Battle Alliance, PS4, PS5. Sayonara Wild Hearts, PS4. Anno Mutationum, PS4, PS5. Probably wrong. Orcs Must Die 3. Citizen Sleeper, PS4, PS5. Poker Club, PS4. And then for the premiums, you get Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings, and you get Medieval 2. Now, lads, how do we feel about this big-ass list of video games? Obviously, God of War Ragnarok is in there. Let me know how you feel. Phil, over to you.
Well, Spence, you very much grabbed the low-hanging fruit there, haven't you, with God of War? Because the rest of that list, I'm not saying it's a dead list, but it's not a great list, okay? God of War very much does the heavy lifting here, and it was a 94% on Metacritic. It is up there with the best games in history, and if you were to ask us our top 5s and our top 10s of all time, I believe God of War Ragnarok would heavily feature across our choices. But Spencer, the one you did stumble upon slightly, and I saw that smirk on you as you said, SD Gundam Battle Alliance. So I had a look. I was intrigued by this game. It's a 74% on Metacritic, and I probably wasn't expecting a lot more. As soon as I see the word Gundam, as much as they're behind me, and I loved Gundam Wing, I know the games are terrible, right? So a 7 out of 10, brilliant. It's got me slightly more interested. So I looked on the Wikipedia, and it says, in SD Gundam Battle Alliance, mobile suits and characters from across the Mobile Suit Gundam history take center stage in this all-new action RPG. Now, an RPG, I wasn't expecting that, were you, boys? Now, I looked at some of the graphics, and yes, they are questionable, but it does look like a very fun, it looks like very chibi-esque mobile suits that you get to collect and battle with. So I'm all for this one. I think if I do have the time, and I want to play a game that features within the game catalogue, within Extra, because of course I don't have Premium at the moment, and I want to play a game that has come out in January, I might just play God of War Ragnarok again.
Yeah, for me, looking at the list, I got to agree with a lot of what Phil said here. I think this list is actually, I'm going to go a step further than Phil. I reckon this list is dog shit. I reckon this is the worst month we've had in memory, I think. I can't remember the last time that we got to looking at these lists and we're not all like, wow, these lists have been fucking great. Even if there's not an awful lot for us, objectively, you can look at the list and be like, wow, this is a banger. Here, God of War Ragnarok is doing the heavy fucking lifting, right? Like the insane lift. Outside of that, there is nothing here that I'm interested in. There is one game, right, that I might check out, and this is a very much a probably never will, but it at least sounds interesting, and that's Citizen Sleeper. So with this game, this is the description of it. So you're a sleeper, a digitized human consciousness in an artificial body owned by a corporation that wants you back. Inspired by tabletop role-playing games, Citizen Sleeper uses dice, clocks, and drive to create a player-led experience where you choose your path in a rich and responsive world. Thrust amongst the unfamiliar and colourful inhabitants of the Eye, you need to build friendships, earn your keep, and navigate the factions of this strange metropolis if you hope to survive to see the next cycle. Now, this game is scored a 82 on Metacritic. It's very, very highly regarded in terms of the PC landscape, especially. That sounds interesting, right? Like, I haven't played a game like that before, and a game that I wanted to play last year, a couple of years ago, sorry, and never did because of the sheer scale of it, kind of put me off, is Baldur's Gate 3, right? With its D&D kind of mechanics. This seems like it'd be a kind of gateway drug towards that, but it's certainly not something that will be jumping up the list for me to jump at and play straight away. And I think that the fucking premium catalog this month kind of sucks as well. Like Medieval 2, sure, fine. I'm not going to rush out and play Medieval 2. The first game's good. It was never like fucking fantastic. Sure, in the platty for it, but it's not like a fucking revolutionary game. 2's more of the same. It's a good game to have rather than this is a great month game to have. And so for me, this month's overall is a bit of a disappointment, Spence.
Damn, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, both of you kind of thinking the same thing, I suppose. For me, Citizen Sleeper definitely caught my eye. But the other one was Sayonara Wild Hearts. This is a rhythm game that has an 84% Metacritic and a 10 out of 10 on Steam. And I'll read this verbatim. Sayonara Wild Hearts is a dreamy arcade game about riding motorcycles, skateboarding, dance battling, shooting lasers, wielding swords, and breaking hearts at 200 miles per hour. As the heart of a young woman breaks, the balance of the universe is disturbed. A diamond butterfly appears in her dreams and leads her through a highway in the sky, where she finds her other self, the masked biker called the Fool. Bit Persona-esque, this. Journey through a custom-written pop soundtrack, chase scores, and set out to find the harmony of the universe, hidden away in the hearts of Little Death and her star-crossed allies. Dancing Devils, Howling Moons, Stereo Lovers, and Hermit 64. Let's pop. I wish I didn't read the paragraph, because now I want to play it less. Yeah, it's supposed to be good. Doesn't actually sound like this for me, so never mind. Scratch it off. SD Gundam, Phil. I'll tell you what, I'm not too interested in it. That art on the front goes hard as hell. I think that art looks sick. Looking at the little guy in the middle, I kind of want a tattoo of him. I think he looks cool as fuck. But nothing else about SD Gundam. You're right, boys. It's a duff month. However, it contains God of War Ragnarok. I can't say this is a duff month.
No.
Because it contains a top 5 game of all time for me.
Yeah.
So even though it's a duff month for me, I'm going to put a score out there right now. I'm going to say it's a fucking 8 out of 10. Because for people who haven't played Ragnarok, fuck me, what a month.
Yeah.
That's a 60-hour game. You don't need other games.
It ties you through till next month, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, like, that's the big caveat, I suppose. If you haven't played God of War, this month's a 10 out of 10. Because that game is fucking phenomenal. Best game this generation, in my opinion. Like, absolutely insanely good. Our friend, Willard, is currently experiencing Ragnarok thanks to this, and I get daily updates now. Where are you? Tell me what's happening. And he's like, God, this game's good. I'm like, yeah.
Duh.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. I think I'd probably go higher. If you haven't got Ragnarok and you choose to dive in this month, experience a 10 out of 10 month. Like, there's nothing else to play. You won't have time. It's fucking fantastic. If you're like the rest of the sane world and you have experienced this masterpiece of a game, I'm going to go for a 5 out of 10. I reckon it's really fucking poor this month.
Yeah, got to agree with you on that one. 10 out of 10 if you haven't played God of War and you've got it for free and you subscribe to the service, brilliant. But everything else on there, including the Gundam game, looks a bit below par, to give you a golfing reference there, Spence, as I know you've been playing a lot of golf recently. But just going off the game that you picked out there, Spence, we don't get a lot of rhythm games these days, do we? Since Guitar Hero sort of fell away, we don't get a lot for our buck on rhythm games. So when you started reading that did catch my interest, because they are fun as a bit of a party game. But when you talked about the bullshit nonsense afterwards, where they tried to weave a story into it, it lost my interest as well. So I think that's a bit of a miss for me as well. All right.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. They doomed themselves. When some games shouldn't give us a demo, and they do.
Yeah.
This game's done that with a single paragraph. Fucked it. Just completely fucked it. Well done. But on that note, I think we move it on. So round to yourself, Mr. Hoy. My impression for you on the beach is gonna be you're out swimming and a shark has been sighted.
A shark has been sighted. Okay.
By you.
So by me. So it's not someone else going, Bill!
No.
Shark!
No. You see the shark.
I see the shark. Okay. So I'll be swimming along. Whoa. Holy fuck! Shark! Run! He might even have legs and come onto the beach. Help! They've evolved. Quick news. So guys, I want to talk a little bit about Horizon and the news that we're being fed around a multiplayer game. Okay, now I know live service is one of those almost detrimental labels that games get given these days after the news that we're going to cover a little bit later about the two that may have got cancelled that are coming to PlayStation or were coming to PlayStation. It being labelled a live service, it already worries me a little bit. But I know Guerrilla have always had expectations to move into the multiplayer market, okay? So they've had a job listing since back in 2018 for a multiplayer game. So they've always had kind of aspirations, as I said, to move into this market. And I think Sony are really pushing them at the moment because they want to do live service. It's not confirmed just yet, but it all seems as if it's gonna happen, okay? Now, they've got a job posting out at the moment which speculates over the number of players that they want to attract. Because, of course, we went through the process with Helldivers 2, didn't we? Where it attracted too many players and it kind of broke the game. There was a little bit of downtime. There were some problems here and there. Now, I think Horizon and Sony are conscious of the way things have gone. And I like the way they're trying to move forward with things and understand and learn from the past. It's very unlike Sony. So I appreciate that. But they're putting it out there that they're expecting about 1 million players on Horizon. And you say 1 million to yourself and you think that's quite a large number. But I think when it comes to the Horizon, a lot of people love this series. So they probably would be attracting those numbers, okay? And that's all being hinted. And I'm making some assumptions within the current job listing that's out there for the Horizon multiplayer game, okay? So guys, I want to throw it over to yourselves. Now, Spence, I know you aren't a big Horizon guy. I don't think you've really spent an absorbent amount of time in either game. If not, maybe just you've dipped in and out of a few of them. But do you want a live service Horizon? Does that excite you? And can you see this launching? And can you... I can't speak now. And can you see this launching in 2025 if we're only just now, again, talking about that job listing?
Absolutely fucking not, mate. That's to the first question, by the way. I do not give a shit about this. I would never touch it. Not even if I loved Horizon 1 and 2, I don't think. Because to me, it seems like it would be what Elder Scrolls Online is to Skyrim, which is just, I've played it, it's not what I want. More taking a single player game and just chucking it in multiplayer, I don't think traditionally works unless the foundation's somehow already there. I don't want this. If it happens, fair enough. I'm not going to play it. And is it going to happen in 2025? I'd be fucking amazed. I would put money on it being 2027. So no fucking chance.
Okay. I'm not sure I agree with you on the whole, does Horizon warrant a multiplayer? Because it's a very popular title and I think it's got a rich depth in story. So I think there's the opportunity there for them to expand it. And I could see it working, but do I want it? No, I still definitely don't want it. And can I see it launching? I think with the push for live service, you might be surprised. But let's throw it over to Davey and find out what he thinks.
I completely disagree with Spence, if I'm honest. I think Horizon could and should work in a at least co-op experience, right? Like, live service always puts the fear of God into me because you expect it's going to be like a fucking hero shooter. Maybe half of them are fucking dinosaurs, half of them are fucking, Nora tribe. No, don't want that bollocks anywhere near me, right? Like, none of that. If they go down the Monster Hunter route, which we've discussed previously on this podcast, and they have it so you're going out in an expedition to go and hunt creatures to bring back supplies to your base, to your fortress, whatever it is, right? Whatever you're doing, or just to upgrade yourself to go out onto better quests and to fight bigger things, that could work really fucking well in this franchise. And I think that whereas the last game was a bit bloated in the way it did its weapons and all that kind of stuff, here you could kind of almost just have classes that you spec into, and that would work really well to be able to synergize to take down certain creatures. And I think that would work super well for Horizon. I think it would be great, like really good. And instead of it being a kind of Messiah level story that you have with Aloy about how she's going to change the world and how she's really important, it could just be that you're kind of like just people living in the tribe and you've just got to go out and get these resources to survive. And that would be fine. Like, that would be its own different take on the Horizon universe that I think would actually be quite refreshing rather than it being the grandiose scale that you have in, following Aloy's story. I think there is a place for this and I think it can work really well. It just depends which way they go with it. And if they use common sense or if they go for something that's been, done to death, and they think they can just put Horizon skin on it and hope for the best, in which case I do not want this anywhere fucking near me. In terms of your question, in terms of do you think this is out, like this year or whatever? No. We haven't seen fucking light of this at all. Unless this gets, and this is always the caveat with this, unless we get an announcement in a February state of play with this game, it ain't out this year. I think that's a fucking safe bet. I can't imagine they'd do a stealth drop. The best way they could do it is like have multiple betas, and surely you'd learn from it and show it off to be able to go back to the drawing board if people really badly react to it, rather than doing a Concord and just steering ahead and keeping everyone in the dark and hoping that it's a Sony PlayStation game, it's going to do well. Concord proves that's not the case. So you've got to have a strong fucking base there, like you were saying, Spence, and it all depends on their vision.
I do think the only way it will win me over, though, if it is your second idea, okay? We don't want, 5v5 multiplayer maps, right? Where you level up over time, etc., and you tweak your guns, right? We don't want to be going down that route when it comes to Horizon. I very much want the Monster Hunter adaptation, but I need them to change it somewhat. But how cool would it be if we were all grouping together to take down a Thunderjaw? But much later on in the game. I think it would take us a long time. I'd like to really start low level, as you said, and understand maybe the day-to-day operations of the lower level people that you meet along the way with Aloy, okay? The people that do get ignored, the NPCs, if you like, taking on those personas and sort of moving their story forward and creating a new one, really, and building up through the ranks to one day, after we spent, as I said, an absorbent amount of time within this game, to take down that Thunderjaw, because it would take that, wouldn't it? I wouldn't want to be doing that week one.
The thing I wouldn't want, mate, and this is what worries me about it, is that I wouldn't want to have a bar that I fill up, and then it's my ultimate move, and Aloy comes in and takes it out in one fucking hit. Like, that's my version of nightmare. That's my nightmare. Dude, It's just my fucking nightmare fuel. To be like Marvel Rivals, and to be like, I've got my ult, I'm going to use my ult on this fucking Thunderjaw. No. I just want to be able to go in and have either procedurally generated, even if it's that, maps where I go out and hunt shit. Monster Hunter does it really fucking well. They do it super, super well. Just that, please, but with Horizon-esque dinosaurs. Fine by me.
And I think we're all agreed. And now to move on to your next news article, Davey. But before you do that, I would like to hear your impression of a couple of girls playing beach volleyball on a British beach.
On a British beach? God, it's cold, isn't it? Wish we were playing this in Brazil. No, it's fine, love. Don't worry, it's 30 degrees. Take your cuff off. Okay, fine. Right. I gotta dive. Well played. It's
She's from Concord.
Yeah.
That's what she's up to.
It's me and my crew. Hey, Dor, how are you doing? I just came out to beach volleyball, baby. Quick news. I didn't know where the fuck I was going with that one. This is some major news, guys, and I think it's going to be quite a big talking point for us, is that on the subject of live service games, we have some news about the future of a couple of unannounced games. And we've always been asking on this podcast since what seems like the dawn of time is, what are our studios up to? What are Bluepoint doing? What are they remaking? What are they up to? Well, we've learned some news, and it is not fucking good news. Jason Schreier has reported, as per Bloomberg, that there are 2 more live service games that have been cancelled under Sony's watch, and that is Sony Ben's unannounced game, we have no idea what they were working on, and Bluepoint. And I bet you're sitting at home thinking, what? Did Davey just say Bluepoint doing a live service game? Yes, unfortunately I did. And that live service game was a God of War live service game. So, before I have a rant, which I definitely will here, Mr. Hoy, I'm going to come across to you first. I'm always going to Spence at the moment, so let's go across to yourself. Give me your thoughts on this news.
Okie doke. Well, when I read it, I think I was as disappointed as you boys are predictably gonna be about this news. Because you hold Bluepoint Games in high regard, don't you? Of course, they are the guys that remastered Shadow of the Colossus and Demon's Souls, right? So you hold them in that very high echelon of development studios, and you were hoping for something. Every time we have any type of predictions, you're like, oh, I really want Bluepoint to recreate this dream game. You never want them to do their own game. You always want remakes of older games with that Bluepoint kind of polish on. Okay, and the other studio in question is Ben Studios, and that's a studio that I keep bringing up. Not that I was a big Days Gone fan, but I was interested to understand where they took that series. And of course, that would be my prediction over what the live service game they were trying to create. It would have been a mass-scale Days Gone with lots of zombies. Cool idea, right? But it's obviously got cancelled. But the big talking point here is the God of War. Obviously, we sang our praises when it comes to God of War Ragnarok because it is one of our favourite games of all time. And they were trying to mould that into a live service game. Now, nothing within that sentence sounds great to me. Outside God of War sounds amazing, but live service God of War, how the hell were they going to achieve that? That sounds like such a colossal job for someone like Bluepoint, who is only really known for recreating games, not creating something new and creating a live service for God of War would be technically a new game, but they are using a source material. Okay. Now, they've not confirmed that these studios are closing, so that's actually some brilliant news. If you dig into the article slightly, they do confirm and they make it quite obvious that they're not closing Bluepoint Games and they're not closing Ben Studios a la Concord and Firewalk, because that live service game obviously went the way of the dodos, unfortunately, as much as we liked it, and then Firewalk got axed. They're not doing that to Bluepoint Studios or Bend. They're keeping those guys going. They're just cancelling those games. Now, guys, live service just seems to be a bit of an issue at the moment, right? What have we got left? Bungie's Marathon? Haven Studios PvP project. Now, they're still in the works. Are they going to get cancelled next? It's just terrible news all around, I think. But I didn't want it anyway.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like, it is bad news. And you're right. There is a saving grace here in that Sony haven't completely shit the bed in terms of saying, well, we're going to shut down these studios while Media Molecule exist. Right? Like, that would just be absolutely catastrophic news. So
I would love Media Molecule to listen to our podcast, because they must be like, oh, they're talking about us again.
I'd love to have a word with them, mate. I'd love to just sit in a room with them.
Oh, mate, I would go in there and gladly just give them some advice. I mean, we've done countless episodes of this show where we're just giving them constant advice. Tell you, if they were sad about it, fucking get off the fucking toilet, stop shitting loads, and release some fucking golden nuggets instead of some poop nuggets, bro. That's all you have to do. And then we'll be straight back on the hype train. Back in fucking 2004 or whatever, when it was Little Big Planet time.
PS3 days.
20 years.
Yeah, I was fucking licking your nuts, dude. Like, I was absolutely rimming that ass. And here we are, 20 years later, nothing but disappointment. So... But we're not talking about Media Molecule, are we? Spence, I would love to know your thoughts on this before I have a little go.
Great, I think. I mean, obviously, it's sad news. It's sad news for games to be cancelled. But was it games I wanted? No. It's kind of the same as Phil, except I'm a bit harsher on it, I think. God of War, I don't want a live service God of War game. And probably, during the start of development of this, some Sony dev walked in and went, oh, what are Bluepoint doing? Oh, live service God of War. He went, what? That's not their job. They're supposed to be remaking something. And just put that in the bin. What are they doing, Bluepoint? They have a method of work, which is recreating games, and it fucking works, and they nail it every time. Why tarnish that reputation? Just keep doing what you fucking do best, Bluepoint. Make Bloodborne, and make Shadow of the Colossus again, and make... whatever you want. Do Metal Gear again as well if you want. I'll do those. Great. I don't want a live service God of War game. It's the last thing I think I could possibly ever want is a live service God of War game. I don't like that they're doing this trend at the minute of, we've just spoken about the Horizon one. These aren't Mario. These characters. Kratos isn't Mario. Aloy isn't Mario. Why are we trying to have their main game and then spin-off games and then whatever else? We've just had a Lego Horizon. What's next? God of War Kart. I don't want this shit. I just want the main game and to see that character true to that character. That's what I want. So I'm not very sad about this, even though it is actually sad news.
You don't want a rhythm game with Ellie on the guitar?
Nah, well, you have that. It's a mini game in Last of Us 2.
But I'm talking about a full game, mate.
I didn't play it in Last of Us 2. I didn't do it. I could.
You could have your own Ellie's guitar, couldn't you?
If I could have like a Guitar Hero Ellie's guitar, fuck yeah, mate. I'd buy that in a fucking heartbeat. But would I play the game? No. I'd just keep the guitar because it'd be shit.
It would be shit, to be fair. You're exactly right. I just want to say on this, I'm going to go, this might be a bit ranty, and I apologize in advance, but please, guys, if you've got something to say throughout this, just jump in. Okay, because I got
sleeping bag, please.
Yeah, it might be one of those. I do apologize in advance. The thing for me, right, is this news was so out of left field that I just couldn't believe what I was reading when I was reading it. And obviously this news now is like a week or so old, so I've had a lot of time to sit and digest on it. And for me, there's a couple of different ways that you can go about looking at this. The one, if you want to be a glass half full kind of guy, which I often am, but I'm not going to be today, is you could say, well, we didn't want these games, so thank God they're not coming out. The realistic version of this is that what a fucking waste of time. Bend Studios haven't released a game since 2019. Days Gone was 2019. Fucking 6 years ago this year. Right? It was time for them to release. It was time for them to fucking put up or shut up. Bluepoint. Bluepoint's the one out of this. Like, Bend, sure, I get it, right? Like, the studio, PlayStation Studios say, right, we want to push into live service games. We're going to really forge this through. Bend announced it was a brand new IP that they were working on, so it wasn't anything to do with Days Gone, so it was a brand new kind of thing that they were doing. Absolutely fine. Live service, great. Yeah, no worries. No problems at all. Bluepoint have one fucking job. Remake shit and do it expertly fucking well. Going all the way back to the PlayStation Vita when they did the Metal Gear Solid collection and did it so fucking well that Konami just took their work and put it back out again last year. Like, they're so fucking good at remakes, it is beyond. They're like the industry fucking leader. Capcom fucking wishes it could do it as well as they can, right? And we love the shit that Capcom remake. It ain't Bluepoint level. It just ain't. It's nowhere fucking close. Not even in the graphical fidelity in the way that they make enhancements to the game without changing what that game is. So it's the same fucking game you experienced years ago, but you think, oh fuck, I've never experienced this again. Well, what are we going to do with them? Oh, let's put them on a live fucking service God of War game? Like, what the fuck? Like, the stupidest idea I've ever heard in my fucking life. Why wouldn't you put a little Chinese or fucking Indian developer who you've just got in from fucking all these different projects around the world? Why wouldn't you give it to them? At least if they fucking spaff it up the wall, no one gives a fuck. Whereas here, we're 4 years later after fucking Bluepoint's last fucking adventure at the start, the launch of PlayStation 5 with Demon's Souls, and we could be getting a fucking Bloodborne fucking remake, which makes the most fucking sense in the world. And instead, here we are on the premiere fucking series for PlayStation in God of War, the fucking premiere that we have. I do not know anybody in the world that would be like, do you know what God of War needs? Multiplayer. Nobody ever fucking said that, right? And nobody fucking wants it because it's a fucking story-based experience with kick-ass single-player fucking gameplay. Do I want to go in there and level up my fucking axe? And maybe this time I'll use my spear. And maybe next time I'll use it. Fuck off. Like, what a stupid idea. And the only person that I'm putting this blame on, and it's the first time he's been on fucking watch on this podcast, is Herman fucking Holst, man. Herman Holst took over running PlayStation Studios for, like, the gaming division in 2019. This is under his fucking watch that this has all happened. This fucking bullshit for our entire generation, where the games that we're relying on, and thank God we got such good fucking third party or second party relationships that we can be bolstered up by likes of like fucking Stellar Blade and Black Myth Wukong last year, because we're putting fuck all out. Fuck all. Last year was Astrobot, amazing, absolutely fucking amazing game from Team Asobi, and a second party game in fucking Arrowhead. That's it. We haven't even bought Arrowhead. Like, what the fuck are we doing over in this fucking ecosystem? Thank God Xbox is so fucking incompetent that they can't rally, because we are giving them the best fucking chance ever. We have done nothing for years from any of our studios. I'm looking at our lineup of studios that we have here, right? Looking at this right now. We got Team Asobi. They've just released a game. Nothing coming from them for years. Bend, obviously now starting again. Brilliant. See you in 5 years. Bluepoint, same thing. See you in 5 years. Fire Sprite, fuck, don't even get me started. Housemarque, please God save the fucking day. Because you are the only studio probably left that's got a game in you that's going to be fucking true to what you do. If you go live service, Housemarque, I will be fucking, I will lose my fucking mind. That can't happen. I would have said this for Bluepoint. It can't happen. Guerrilla don't know what they're doing at the moment, other than this opposed live service game for Horizon, and I guess Horizon 3. Great, cool. Haven, obviously we'll see some of the results of that pretty shortly. Insomniac, Wolverine, Media Molecule. I don't even need to fucking go into it. Naughty Dog, going to be next year, minimum, before we see Intergalactic, I imagine. Polyphony, fucking wait 4 years for the next Grand Theft Auto. San Diego, MLB, you like baseball? Great, you got that coming up. Santa Monica, no idea when. Probably 3 more years. And Sucker Punch coming in this year, and that is it. That's our lineup. So we're looking at this year. We've got potentially Death Stranding, Ghost of Utah. Everyone else is going to be like second or third party relationships because we got nothing left. Because they've just wasted this generation on a live service push, which has been great for us with Concord, for like the 4 billion people who didn't play it out of the like 2,000 that did. It didn't hit. And that studio is fucking gone the way of the fucking dodo. There is nothing, man. And it just, I pin it all on Herman Holst's leadership. Because it has to come from somewhere, and he's the top managing these studios. And they don't all of a sudden, all of them think, do you want to be great? Live service games. No. It's a fucking push, and it's been a fucking disaster. And anybody could have fucking called this years ago. But here we are now into the PlayStation 5, throughout this entire generation, and we've had fuck all. And it's just so disappointing. So disappointing. Sorry, guys. I knew it was going to be a rant.
Deep breath, mate. Take it in. You've lost all the blood now. You need to re-energize yourself. Get some liquids on. Otherwise, you're not going to last to the end of the show.
Definitely not. But has anyone got any thoughts on anything I've said?
All I could say, 2029 going to go hard as fuck, bro. Are we going to get all the games? But what I do actually want to say is, do you genuinely think that the entire studio at Bluepoint and Bend were working on this one project? Like you said, 5 years till we see anything from them. It might be sooner, mate. I don't think it was probably the entire studio working on these one project.
See, I don't know. And this is the only thing that could save it, right?
Like, do you think that's all Bluepoint's done since Demon's Souls?
I worry that it is. My hope, man, when I first read this news, my first thought was, surely it's not the entire studio. Surely this is like a contingent, like Naughty Dog have, right?
Exactly.
Where like they were working on Intergalactic. These studios ain't at that level. Like Bend ain't that big. It's not Naughty Dog level. Bluepoint isn't that big. I don't know. And if not, it's a sizable force that were working on these things, I imagine, that would have been ready for launch probably this year. You know? So, it's an unknown and something we do not know. And the only hope is that you're right and that it is a very much a smaller portion, which is then being blown up. But you would have thought if this kind of news leaks and gets out here for this, you would have thought if there was something really big they were working on in the background, that would have come out too.
The only other thing, would they have been released for this year anyway? Because our only history so far is Concord, which released and flopped.
Mm-hmm.
Lost vs. Factions, which got cancelled after years and years and years and years and years of development. And the rumoured Spider-Man multiplayer game, which got cancelled because of the hack. That is our history with live service.
Yeah.
I don't think these games would have seen the light of day this year. Anyway.
You don't think so? I think for me, like, the tea leaves were reading for me, like, Concord was the start of what was going to be every year you get at least 2 live service games. Originally, there were supposed to be, 12 of these, right?
Yeah.
And then they got scaled down to 6. And then with these 2 out, you could say there's 4 left. I could see that they're not all going to be like, oh, they're all 2026, 27. they would have been space, surely. So I imagine if it wasn't these two,
Yeah, but they
it would
thought
be-
Concord was going to be taking up the space.
I guess so. And I mean, Fair Games is supposed to be this year, which would be the push for this year. But regardless to it, there's been a considerable number of years and there's been nothing to show.
These 100% wouldn't have been for this year because we've seen nothing from them. Whereas we saw a sneak peek of Marathon fucking
Donks ago.
donks ago. That would be the one
Mm.
for this year, you'd think. But where's that?
Yeah.
This live service is gone. It was a big passing phase that came. It didn't even come. It's came and gone before it's even come.
The problem is, right, is that every time you think that, everyone's going to learn that this trend is over and there's no point chasing it, you get a Marvel Rivals. And we don't like Marvel Rivals, right? Or I certainly didn't when I played it. I really didn't enjoy it. But we're the fucking outliers, dude. Like, people playing that game and it's making millions. And that's the problem, is you get one fucking little golden little child that then makes all these fucking big studios forget what made them get there in the first place. And it's just insane. Nintendo keep on doing the same thing, and it works. And fucking Xbox have fucked this generation completely. It's completely seeded it. And we're just fucking making stupid mistakes. If it wasn't for whoever's in the second or third party relationship space and buying up exclusives is saving this fucking brand. Because if it wasn't for them, like last year, you look at like the list of games that made Game of the Year and you could say, they're all on PlayStation. They are. One of them was made by us. One was funded by us. And then it's like, the other two are Final Fantasy, which we bought the exclusive rights for. And I'm using we in terms of as if I'm Sony here. We bought the fucking rights to on the exclusive rights. And Black Myth, which that's because the Xbox fucking fucked it with having an Xbox, a lower powered version of the Xbox at the same time. That's the only reason. It's like, good for us. We did fuck all, man. We released a game that would be like, back in PS3 generation, Astrobot would be a clinch note. Granted, it would be a massive note, right? But it would be like one of several games that would release in just that quarter from PlayStation's output alone. And here we are, and we're lucky. Looking at this year, when we did our fantasy draft, which obviously you'll hear later on in the show, listeners, apologies. We're fucking struggling to talk about some of the exclusives that are coming up because it's an unknown if it's actually going to release this year. And that's a fucking problem, man. Like, it was fine a couple of years ago because there was faith. Whereas now at this point, I don't know. I'm starting to lose that faith. Don't know how you feel about it though, Mr. Toy.
Well, I was just thinking while you were going through Spencer's points there, and I truly believe that this is all Ben Studios and Bluepoint Games have been working on now over the last couple of years, is live service. Because live service, it's not something either studio is known for, okay? And it's a big opportunity here. Not so much, I suppose, for Ben Studios, okay? But for Bluepoint, it's a big step. If you look at it, you're given the best of the best IP. Okay, and Sony are pushing you to go to live service. You've got all the opportunity in the world here, haven't you, to not fumble that bag. So when they first got it, I reckon they would have been very excited, and I reckon they would have put all the manpower they possibly could into producing something that Sony would back. And it's taken a lot of effort for them to get to the point they're at the moment. And that's why I truly believe we won't be seeing anything, as you said, Davey, now for the next 5 years from either studio. And that's really disappointing. The way you put it when you went through all our first party studios, I was almost in tears because it's a sad state of affair. It really is with our first parties because we're getting a sprinkling of games every couple of years that are standout from our first party. And it shouldn't be that way. How the hell does Nintendo, and you always go back to Nintendo to prove your point, and I'm doing the same, they consistently do it year on year, and they're always good. They're up to a certain standard. But I suppose they don't deviate from the point too much, right? They stick to what they're known for. Sony is known for single-player games. Stick to what you're good at. Why are we even trying live service? And I know it's the big shiny. And before it was like arena shooters like fucking Fortnite. And that's why we got a huge wave of those coming through. Live service is the new Fortnite, if you like. It's that golden goose that they're chasing. But Sony really should stick to what they're good at with the first party single player games. As I said, the narrative games that we all know and we all love. We could list like 10, 20 amazing experiences from Sony first party for those types of games which we are in love with. Why are we going into live service? I don't understand it. They burnt their hand once, didn't they? They flew too close to the sun, young Icarus, with Concorde, and they got burnt. Now they're that stupid child trying to touch the pot once again. No, do what you're good at, Sony. Stick to the first party, single player, narrative driven games, please.
See, this is where I get a bit conflicted because that's what they're doing. You know, they've realized.
They are. And they've realised now. And
It's just
great.
a bit late. I understand that's why we're mad, but it's
Late.
like, come on, it's like
Yes.
they are doing what we're asking for. It's quite good. It's quite good news.
You're right. You're very positive. And I think in PS6, your positivity I'll be sharing, right? Because we'll all be enjoying those games. But we're talking now, most of these studios, unless your thought is right, I was going to say analogy, it's certainly an analogy. If your thought is right and there is like these were smaller teams within the studio, we won't see them the rest of this generation. It's just like, cheers. Like, I bro, the next conference I would have been putting in there are crazy. If it wasn't for Resistance coming back, it would have been fucking Bloodborne remake from Bluepoint. And now it's like, well, that fucking ship sailed because they were working on a live service God of War title. Like, you're right. You're very much right in that this is the right call to make. 100% is. I just wish it wasn't like 4 years into the generation.
Yeah, it wasn't a call they even had to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
Exactly. And so, moving on to yourself, Master Spencer. On the beach, I want to know, there's a constant threat that appears on the beach.
You want to know?
I want to know how you'd react and hear your impression of somebody getting stung by a jellyfish.
Oh.
You could take it in the water or on land, because it is both equally dangerous.
Okay, but it's someone, so it's not necessarily me.
It doesn't have to be you. You can do an impression of whoever you like.
Do an impression of Davey getting stung by a jellyfish.
Yeah, do that.
No, I'm going to say like, so the impression could be me and someone else has been stung by the jellyfish, and it's what I would do if like my mate.
If you want to take it that way. The scenario is jellyfish stings someone.
Yeah,
Alright,
don't
so
deep
yeah.
it, bro.
All right, say less.
Don't deep it.
So my mate's he's gone for a swim because I can't swim, so I'm not going out there. So he's gone out for a swim. He's been stung. He's screaming. He sounds like Phil when he saw a shark. Ah! Ah! Speds! Comes out. Speds! Mate, fucking pipe down. Lay down. Give me a minute. Shh, mate, fucking hell, it's hard when you scream. Oh. You're it's fucking in his mouth.
Why does every impression make me feel like you're having a blowjob or you're giving a blowjob or something sexual?
I'll tell you, mate, I actually pulled my trousers down then. It was out
Wow.
fully. And unlucky for you, listeners, viewers.
That's
cut off
available on
the
our
bottom
Patreon.
Patreon, subscribe
if you
below.
subscribe to our Patreon,
Subscribe
you
below.
get the under what do they call it? An upskirt
The under the
cam.
desk, bro. Yeah,
Upskirt cam. Yeah, for all of us. And I'm wearing trousers, so mine's a bit boring. But Spencer gives you a little flash. So it might be worth your $6.99 a month.
Oh, is that all it is?
We're
Bargain.
going cheap, bro. Come
Absolute
on.
bargain.
We're getting sponsored by Chef Special in Culty. Like, our Patreon's
You're not
cheap.
wrong. You're not wrong. You are not wrong.
$6.99 is a bit expensive, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon go for the free, mate.
Isn't it?
Free
Yeah,
content.
Jesus.
Oh, and
Yeah,
then go
£1 a
for
post.
pay-per-view content afterwards.
Work for those tips, bro.
That's crazy. All right, well, quick news. This is nuts that we've made a joke and we're into this because this is an enormous bit of news. The Nintendo Switch 2 has been confirmed and announced and revealed. We saw a little snippet trailer of the changes for the Switch 2, so I'll kind of just say those as they are. The changes basically, the screen is larger, the system's larger, the Joy-Cons are larger, everything is bigger, which is a bit of a weird change because the dock is actually smaller. So now the Switch is kind of more exposed when rested in the dock. The Joy-Cons, the new ones, they're completely black with accents of red and blue as opposed to the full color palette on the originals on the Switch 1. And now they attach magnetically rather than sliding on. So they just kind of slip right in, which I think, we'll talk about what I think in a minute. But I assume you boys have seen the Switch 2. The picture we have on our dock has prices next to it. They're bollocks. The price has not been revealed. So I'm going to come across, ask you boys what you think of the Switch 2. And then we'll have a little discussion on how much we think it's going to cost. So, Davey, I'll come across to you first. What are your thoughts?
Do you know, it's exactly what it needs to be. And that's it. I mean, they nailed the design of the Switch last generation, and they've been rewarded for that because they've sold like hotcakes, right? Why change what isn't broken? And I fully feel like the design of the Switch meant they could finally marry up the publishing and the kind of game development between their handhold and their console divisions to be able to make sure that they could output content at a reasonable pace, which they have managed to do this entire generation that the Switch has been running. And sure, it might not be as powerful as the big boys, but it doesn't have to be because it serves its own niche. And I think the outputs that people are saying, like Digital Foundry and stuff, so that it's running around about like a PS4 level, great. The thing I always said is, like, when it comes to our next like Sony handheld, it had to do PS4. Like, that was the minimum it had to do. This does that. Class. I think it's really cool. The only thing I don't like about it, and the only thing I feel like I can't see the use case for it at the moment, but maybe it's a me thing, is that you can use them as mice. So you can run them around and click around. That's the only thing I think, well, it's a gimmick. Like, who's going to fucking use this? Outside of that, great. Absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to see the games. And that's all I'm kind of waiting for.
That's fair. That's fair. Phil, mate, how about you?
So, listeners, viewers, this is a PlayStation podcast. I know we've talked about McDonald's, League of Legends, and now we're on to the Nintendo Switch 2. But trust me, we do talk about PlayStation if you have just tuned in now. But for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2. So, sit back. Now, I watched the YouTube video, the launch YouTube video, and I shared it around because that presentation was slick as fuck. It was absolutely beautiful. And Davey, you hit the nail on the head. It's done exactly what it says on the tin, and it's done it the right way. There's no huge revelations when it comes to the Switch 2. It's exactly what we expected, but it is a bit bigger, which I can appreciate because I've got fucking massive hands. So the old Switch wasn't that comfortable for me, but Switch 2 looks like a bit of me. And let's be honest, boys, we're all going to buy it because the Switch, the Nintendo system, is always the second console that we own. Now, when we come over to prices, yeah, 400 sounds about right, but I'm thinking it's going to be slightly more expensive than that. My prediction is that it's in the 450 area, but of course it's going to launch with a game, so you're probably looking at 500 for it when it comes out, in my opinion. It's quite interesting now that they've gone for the PS4 level of graphics, which I think is always a complaint when you talk about the Nintendo systems. They're always lagging behind, but they never let those limitations hold them back, because what limitations does is breeds creativity. And that's what we know with Nintendo is a creative company, and they come out with some very creative games. So having PS4 levels of graphics, it doesn't worry me at all. The thing that does slightly worry me, and I've seen this all across social media, and Spencer touched on it slightly, was those connections with the Joy-Con remotes. But Nintendo are pretty good at creating hardware, so I think they would have thought about this. They would have seen that that is a potential issue, and hopefully they've tested it to the extreme, because it's for the the lower end of the market, right? It's for children a lot of the time. We'll be buying the Switch, and we'll be buying the Switch too. So it's going to go through a lot of wear and tear. So we'll see how that progresses later on, but hopefully Nintendo have thought about it. Now, Davey, you mentioned the mouse functionality. Now, I got really excited about that because it took me back to the SNES days with Mario Paint and, of course, Mario Music. And later on, of course, we had Mario Maker. These are all creative games, and I really think that's the area Nintendo are going to push into. And earlier we were talking about PlayStation trying new things with live service. I think this is where Nintendo are really going to come to life. Of course, we're going to get our Mario Karts, we're going to get our Marios, our Zeldas, etc., etc. But what they're really going to excel in this console generation, I'm putting that out there. It's a Phil Hoy official. You've heard it first on NPS We Trust. They're going to be going down the creative route, okay? We're going to be getting art, we're going to be getting music, and we're going to be getting level design based on the Nintendo Switch 2, and that's what that mouse is for. You've heard it here first.
Couldn't disagree more, mate. And I think once I say what I say, you will agree with me also. This is just for the mouse, by the way. The mouse, I think, and I've just thought of this on the spot, and it's definitely wrong, but let me have you. I think it just means this is going to be the first time we get a console version of League of Legends. It's finally possible. You can use a mouse and a cursor, bruv, and then the other Joy-Con on your hand for your abilities. That's it. That's all you need. League of Legends at home, on the go. Brilliant.
I love that, but is that going to happen? No fucking way.
No fucking way.
I thought you were onto something there. I thought maybe I've missed a trick here. Maybe I've gone in too deep with the idea of having a mouse and being creative with art, music, and level design. No, you've just said League. So you've won me over to a certain degree, but I don't believe you at all. But
what if it's a Nintendo League? You going down the rift as Mario, bro. It could be interesting. All right, what I actually wanted to say. I couldn't agree more about the magnetic connectors. That is my massive concern, because I feel like a kid, all he has to do is just slightly pull. Those magnets have to be strong as fuck, or, like you said, they probably will have thought of a solution. The solution they should think of, and what should have, is a lock on the back of the Switch that locks them in place once they're magnetically connected. That's what it should be, and that's what it probably will be. What Nintendo will do, because this is what they do, is each Joy-Con will have a wrist strap they put on your wrists, and the Switch itself will be on a lanyard on your neck in case they disconnect. And the Switch will just hang down and be on your chest. That is what they'll do, because that's what they did with the Wii U, and the Switch. That's what it's going to be. Wrist straps, mate. It's affordable, and it keeps it safe. That's what they're doing. But you kind of mentioned about price there as well, in what you were saying. Davey, mate, what do you think it's going to cost?
I reckon they'd be mental if they go over 400. I think they'd be absolutely fucking mental, because they know, or you'd hope they know, where they reside. They reside in the target, which is for everyone, right? This is for like mum and dads who think, oh, little Jimmy's 5. Do you know what he'd like? He'd really like a Switch. I'll get one. And do you know what? I'll get myself one so I can play that Wii Fit Adventure that's coming up, and I could use the mouse to create a fucking level in it. Like, that's what they're thinking. And so I reckon they'll be mental if it goes over 400. I think that's the safest price ever. 450 at an absolute max push, but I would put my money at 399.
I couldn't agree more, boys, because the OLED version 4 years later is going to be 500. I think this is 400 quid, not fucking OLED for no fucking reason, even though it really should be because the technology clearly exists. It won't be. They'll do a new version. And yeah, 400 quid. I'm happy to say that as well. And like you said, Phil, chuck a game in there as well. There's going to be a Zelda or a Mario on release. Extra 70 fucking quid. And then, there'll be a party game, or you'll need another set of Joy-Cons, or you need to pay for your lanyard, or the back stand. You might need to pay for.
Yeah.
Or
Maybe.
they'll sell you a cardboard box.
True, Labo.
Yeah. Clever Nintendo, aren't they?
They're cooking all the
Jesus,
time,
mate.
bro. The PlayStation think they're smart by not including a fucking disc drive into the PS5, into the PS5 Pro. Nintendo we'll sell you a cardboard box for 50 quid. That you make your own fun with this cardboard box, and there's only 2 games that support it. Have fun. 50 quid.
They could
Cheers.
sell ice to Eskimos, couldn't they?
I could. They
They
could.
really could.
Has
Yeah.
it got Mario on it? Yeah, it does. Brilliant. We'll buy 3.
It's
Mental.
ridiculous. But I think this moves us on. So, lads, do you think you will be picking up this system on launch? And if not on launch, what will it take to make you buy it? Phil, over to you.
100% I won't be buying it on launch. I already got an absorbent amount of games to play on PlayStation, and I play in League, so I've not really got enough time for PlayStation these days. But when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, I think it is just that mega game that we will all be playing, and I'm sure that is the Smash Brothers game. Competitive game that you guys obviously spent a lot more time in than me, but I did like to dabble, and I did enjoy it a lot. So I think as soon as Smash comes out, the same as with my Switch, the OG Switch, if you like, I only bought that for Smash. I only bought the Wii U for Smash. I only pretty much bought the Wii for Smash. So going all the way back, it was just a Smash console, and I got a couple of other games after I bought it. And I was hoping for a slight reduction, but as we know, Nintendo games, they don't reduce. So it's kind of a flawed tactic, but I am going to wait.
That's fair. I think probably a wise decision. Davey, mate, how about you?
For me, Smash is the obvious contender, right? That's what got me in on the Switch originally. That's what got me in there in the door. But then I got a pretty expansive Switch collection. I've got a lot of Switch games, and they're mostly because of Cassian. So we played a lot of Switch games together. We played more Switch than we have PlayStation at this point together. So it all depends on that kind of direct in a couple of months in terms of what's shown. Mario Kart won't get me through the door day one. It just won't. But if there is something else, if there is like Mario Kart and something else that I could play with my son, it might be a day one. All depends on that.
You do have to be careful though, David, because within the presentation, if you're hoping that all your original Nintendo Switch games will play on the Switch 2, there is a slight caveat that not all games will be compatible with Switch 2, but we haven't got that extensive list, okay? So just keep that one in mind and don't throw away or sell your original Switch.
No, and never sell hardware, mate. Selling hardware is a mug's game. That's what brokies do. Never about that, mate. Always keep your original hardware just for when you're 20 or 30 years later, your son can walk in and be like, "What's that? Is that a PlayStation?" I'm like, "Yes. I've seen that in Astro." "I know you have. That's a PlayStation 1. Do I need it? No. Does it serve any purpose other than just taking up space? No. Is it class to have? Yes." And so never sell hardware for that exact reason. If I can keep a Wii U down in the basement, never seen the light of day again, I can keep anything. So I'm never getting rid of a Switch, bro. And I got 3 in this house anyway. So it's fine. I got options.
That's so many.
I know.
so many Switches.
I know. There's a Switch Lite, and me and Lottie both had Switches, which have both stayed here.
Fucking hell.
Crazy,
I will
man.
say, the games that aren't going to work on a Switch 2, people are quite sure it's going to be all the Labo games that aren't going to
that
function.
makes sense. That makes sense.
Because they're not bringing Labo back. If they bring Labo back, it's nuts. Because it didn't do that well. But who knows?
Cheap to produce though, right?
Mate. Yeah, nothing.
Maybe they'll do something with plastic bags next, or, just some other nonsense.
Kids would be dead if they even sold plastic bags. I think for me, I'm very much like yourself, Davey, where Mario Kart 9, I need to see more of it. Because I fucking love Mario Kart. I love it. I was competing for like world records on Snares Rainbow Road at one point. It was I love Mario Kart. I wasn't close. I wasn't doing good, but I was trying.
Oh, wow. Fair dues to you.
We can all try and do stuff.
Innit?
I tried to play football. I'm Mo Salah, am I?
All right, to be fair. I was only like a few seconds off the world record, I think. It's just those few seconds are crucial. I think what I need, Smash is obviously, when Smash comes out, I'm buying it.
Yeah,
I'm getting this console.
Yeah,
it's just a case of when. If it launches with MK9 and either a Mario Party or a WarioWare.
There's potential then in there.
Oh,
yeah.
I'd buy it. A WarioWare especially, fuck me, I'd buy it day one for a WarioWare. I adore WarioWare. And then same for Mario Party. They're chucking Mario Parties out at the minute. Love it. But if we don't have those, yeah, I'll wait till fucking Smash. I wouldn't buy it immediately anyway once they announce Mario Party. I need to see gameplay. It's that kind of thing where if you're buying a console for one game, you kind of need to know how good the game is first.
Yeah. I think like for me, Metroid would get me really tempted. Like Metroid really would. But I'm also quite happy in waiting. Like I don't need the thing about Nintendo games is it's not like as if there's going to be some major story revelation that you feel, oh my god, I got to be there day one for it. I can wait years and then pick it up and play, you know? So that's kind of the rationale that I'm thinking I may be able to wait even for games that I'm mega hyped for, like Metroid 4.
I think if we get towards Christmas and there's the new Mario game that blows everybody away like Odyssey did, hell, I think that's the time you're going to buy it, isn't it?
Yeah,
it feels like a nice gift to buy someone that's in your life, but secretly it's for you. It's like a bowling ball with your name on, if you want to, if you get that Simpsons reference. So I think I've already got someone's gift for Christmas.
She's a lucky girl.
Lucky girl.
Fair enough, lads. All right, let's move it on. Phil, around to yourself, I believe.
Correct.
My impression for you, which is on the beach themed, is gonna be okay, I got a weird minging one.
Thanks,
It's gonna be your really fit cousin who you shouldn't find attractive, but you do, has asked you to put lotion on her. What'd you do?
What would I do? What would I do? Well, I don't have a fit cousin.
This feels like a hypothetical rather than an impression.
Yeah.
This feels like something that you should have asked at the start of the show.
Show me. Well, what?
No,
what
I
would
want to
you
hear
do
it. I want to
in
hear
the
it. I want
form
to
of
hear
an
it.
impression.
Okay. I'll try and work it out. All right. So Bruce shouts over, Phil, I need some lotion on my back. It's burning. I don't know where he's from. He's a cousin. You don't ever see your cousins, do you?
No.
Right. So I go over. All right, Bruce, how's it going? All right. We don't speak much. We haven't got really anything in common. So he thinks I'm a geek. I think he's a dickhead. Yeah. But he's asked me to rub on the lotion. So I've got a lot on. Bend over, Bruce. Extra. And off you go, boy.
No.
Yeah, tap on the ass.
Slap
Yeah.
that
We might
ass.
not be close, but there's some sexual tension. Quick news. So, guys, moving on quite quickly from my cousin Bruce. Insomniac Games, Ted Price announces his retirement after 3 decades, guys. Now, for the ones that aren't great at maths, that is 30 years at Insomniac. So Ted Price, he was the founder and co-owner of Insomniac Games, forming them in 1994. Now, he's part responsible, I suppose. He didn't write and produce every single thing within this. We'd be fools to think he was, but of course he had his finger in these pies, such as Spyro, Ratchet, Resistance, Sunset Overdrive, and of course Spider-Man. Now, him moving on, guys, I want to put a bit of a hypothetical out for you guys. How do you think this is going to affect Insomniac Games moving forward? When a big scalp like Ted Price moves over, what do you think the studio is going to do? Does that put them at risk? Spencer, I'm going to come to you first.
I don't know if it puts them at risk. It's a bit hard to say because it's not like he's not been kicked off or anything. He's just kind of stepping down. I think Insomniac themselves are just set up quite nicely to succeed no matter who's in charge, kind of, because they had one bad idea, which was the live action, which was the live service game, which has been axed. And now they just kind of already know what they need to do. Marvel IPs and Ratchet, call it a day. I don't think they need that much guidance, really, in what they're going to do, at least currently. I think once they find their footing and once they move on, it might be a bit more struggle. But at the minute, they're laughing, mate. It doesn't matter.
Fair enough. You believe nothing will change with Insomniac after losing Ted Price. Davey, how about yourself? How do you feel, if any, there's going to be an effect since he's left the studio?
There's always a big effect. Whenever you get a senior leadership change, it always does have a major effect. The big thing is how sudden that change is. Now, fortunately, what Ted has put out in his conference, in his little blog post about his retirement, is that he made this decision a year ago. And so with that, he's had a big succession plan throughout the studio. They've now put 3 studio heads in place, which is Chad Dezem, Ryan Schneider, and Jen Huang. So those three staff members are now the co-heads of the studio, and they've worked at Insomniac for a long time. And what Ted puts in there is that they've each demonstrated that they got the right DNA to be able to represent Insomniac, and I think that's what's really important here. If you had him just suddenly say, fucking hell, I'm done, fuck this, and just leaves, right? That's a major fucking hole then that needs to be filled by somebody. And if you bring somebody from outside in, then you can probably notice some changes and some worry beads might start to form about the future of Insomniac and will they be able to retain their kind of unique flavor that they add to the industry. For me, I'm not worried about any of that at the moment. All I'm hoping is that with Chad, Ryan, and Jen, one of them is a Resistance fan. That's all I'm hoping, bro. There's a chance that one of them's like, yo, as a co-head, what about Resistance? And they're like, oh, fuck it. Do you know what, Chad? You're bang on. You're absolutely bang on. Jen's like, I fucking love Resistance. Great choice, fucking Ryan. And he's like, cheers, lads, cheers. And then they go out and make it. And then no one buys it except for me. And I love it. And I'll talk about it all the time.
And me, I'd buy it. And I couldn't agree with you more that, if they brought back Resistance, that would be a smooth move by Ted, bringing on people that are, born and bred Insomniac gamers. Insomniacs, yes, let's call them Insomniacs. So now the Insomniacs are taking over. Wasn't that like a Warner Brothers show at a certain point, Insomniacs?
Yeah, it was like mice, wasn't it? Well, they were like little creatures. Don't know what they were.
I don't know. Anyway. But no, this news does worry me, I think, slightly more than both of you. Just purely because when you've had such a, figurehead as Ted Price running the ship, and now you've given it to sort of 3 people, arguments can happen, okay? I would have been more confident if Ted had nominated a single person and said, this is the path forward, rather than opening it up to problems and issues, because, too many cooks do spoil the broth. Now, there are 3 different heads there, all possibly pulling in slightly different directions, but hopefully they pull in the Resistance direction, just like you've said, Davey. So I am a little worried because I'm a big Insomniac fan and I am interested in the games. I'm a massive Ratchet fan, Resistance fan. I did like the Spider-Man games, obviously the later ones lost a bit of substance, but the earlier games really, really good. So I want to see the future of Insomniac and I want it to continue in the vein that it has been run. So I am slightly worried, but interested to see where the new Insomniacs, as we've deemed them, take this company. Okie doke, and that brings us on to the end of quick news. Of course, we've had some fabulous impressions tonight. We've had Davey do an impression of eating chips on the beach. He also gave us an insight into his version of some ladies playing beach volleyball. Spencer went into the sea for the first time, and he also experienced pissing on a friend that got stung by a jellyfish. I had a shark attack, and of course, the last one.
You rubbed oil on your cousin.
Oh yeah, Bruce.
Bruce.
And of course, I oiled up Bruce as my last impression. Now, what we like to do is do a little bit of a vote so we can award someone a shot. I say award because it is almost an award, but really it's a slight punishment. But it's nice. It's nice to have some shots moving forward. And this is kind of the point of us running Quick News in the way we do. So, guys, we're going to go round in a circle. We're going to say which was our best to start off with. And then we're going to go round and say what was our worst. The worst, whoever's voted, gets a shot in the dock. The best, it means absolutely jack shit. But you can have a smug smile on your face as we move in to the topics or the listener question next, haven't we, guys? All right. So, Davey, I'm going to come to you first. What was your favourite of tonight?
My favourite tonight was Spencer's first impression, which is, I believe, can you just remind me which one that was? Because they do merge together a little bit.
Spencer walking into the sea.
Yes. Because I could just imagine, it took me to that location, which is why I enjoyed it a lot. And everyone knows that moment where you get into cold water, especially British seas, even in the middle of like September, where they're like, the oceans is hotted up now. The Atlantic's nice and toasty. No, it's not. It's fucking freezing. And you're right. And the impression you did of being like lowering yourself down, watching the balls, class.
Oh, mate, the balls is the worst.
It's terrible. It's the threshold, yeah. As soon as you get past that, the only other worst thing is dunking the head.
Oh,
The top of the head sucks. And so I think you did it really well. You really, really conveyed me in it. And you added it with, making a reference to your mother who's at the beach watching you dip your balls. And I enjoyed that too. And it got a good little laugh at me. So that was my favourite of the night.
Nice. Spence, what are you saying? What was your favourite of tonight?
Oh, mate, cousin Bruce, easy. Cousin Bruce was keen to get lathered, and you just followed the mission, mate. Gave him a little as he walked off, being like, "Go on, my son." Yeah,
it's like it's actually happened, right?
Babes. It is, mate. Yeah.
Bruce Hoy. Have a look on Facebook. See if you can find my long lost cousin.
Strong name. Strong name, Bruce.
Name. But yeah, that wins it for me, mate.
Well, my favourite of tonight, I'm going to have to even it up because you voted for Spencer. Spencer's voted for me. And Davey, I'm going to vote for you because my favourite of tonight, the one that gave me the biggest chuckle, was your first impression of eating chips on the beach. Because you didn't just give us an impression, right? Normally our impressions, there's no words, there's no real narrative. It's just trying to be as accurate as you can with the sounds that you make with your mouth. But this was a full-on drama. Right? There was a plot line. There was, an intense situation with them possibly losing the chips. I want to know what happens next to this couple. My God, I'm locked in. I'm down to binge watch this series if it comes out because I'm interested where this narrative goes. So, Davey, you'll take the win for tonight from myself, but it evens it up. So we're either all winners or we're all losers here. And as I said, losers, let's move it on to the worst of tonight. Davey, who is your nomination and why?
My nomination for tonight for the worst is Spencer's jellyfish pissing. And the reason is that I struggled to recall whatever his impression was because they just kind of merged together a little bit. And I felt that the jellyfish pissing, there was a lot of time of nothing while he was weeing. There wasn't even the sound of of piss. There wasn't like the.
It was that.
That's all it was, mate.
That's
it was
all
just
it
him
was.
wanking.
It was nothing really. There was kind of nothing, and I didn't hear anything from the mate who got pissed on. Really, like I was expecting to be like a. Like I think I would have enjoyed it more if it was from the other way around. Like the guy, if you played both characters, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. And seen like the guy was like, "Sorry about this." The guy's like, "No, it's fine, just do it," you know. And he's like, "Okay," and he's like, "Don't look at me, don't look at me." Like I think you could have done a lot if you were playing both, but being the one, I felt it was a little bit restrictive. That's why it's got my worst of tonight. I do appreciate it though; it was nice, but wasn't quite enough for me.
I think it's a super tough call because I think we've all been quite spot on with the impressions tonight. I've chuckled at every single one of them. But Spence, you've got to pick a worst out of a best bunch. Which one are you going to go for?
What was Davey's other one? That.
Davey's other one was the beach volleyball with the gaggle of girls.
Oh, yeah, Gaggle of Girls. You mean Door from Concord. I'll go for that one. I'll go for that one, thank you. Yes, please. Easy. That one. Because now you got to choose which of us lose. And also, yeah, it's just Door playing volleyball.
She loves it, bro. They love it.
Me and my crew. Well, guys, you've put me in a beautiful position because I can't possibly lose. Now, looking at the two that you've picked out, the jellyfish. Yeah, there was moments that probably don't translate well for a podcast, I'll be honest with you, because there was moments of silence, but a good, pause within a sentence or some dramatic tension is quite good, and you can very much carry a narrative with that through audio. But I don't feel like you did it that accurately with your situation that you were trying to recreate. But yes, the beach volleyball was somewhat confusing, and I think you lost it halfway through and kind of gave up after you just tunnel visioned on my girl Door, or my guy Door, my them Door.
No one
Who knows anymore? No one knows anymore. There's no proof, is there? It's got wiped from the slate. Who knows? Who are we even talking about? But yes, sorry, Davey, for tonight, I'm going to hand it to you. The beach volleyball was the worst of tonight because I didn't really get the volleyball. I got the start of it, and then it, as I said, tunnel visioned over into something else, and then you just lost it. So, sorry, Davey, tonight you are a big fat loser. So you get a shot in the dock for episode, 110 maybe, 111? maybe 112. Yeah, maybe. Who absolutely cares or knows? So that ends Quick News for tonight. Thank you for sticking with us. It has been quite a long one. It's quite ironic we call it Quick News. And we're going to move it over to the listener question from the big dog himself, Maloon.
There once was a show some time ago that asked 4 questions every fortnight or so. It became so rare they weren't prepared to have a versatile rhyme. Oh God, I'm scrambling now to get a word that rhymes, so how can I wrap this up? I'll take this mail and go.
That is right. We have made it to the listener question. Ooh, a little short segment before we reach the final topic of the show. Now we have a question from the hot dog himself, Mr. Maloon. And his question is as follows. That Xbox Dev Direct was amazing. Do you think it proved we don't need 20-minute showcases packed with 20 random announcements to get gamers hyped? Is a focused, in-depth event focusing on 5 games the better approach? Or should PlayStation stick to having quantity over quality? 3 questions, but all kind of around the same thing. So, not bad. So, lads, first of all, I've not seen the Xbox Direct. And I'm not gonna watch it. So I do not care. I couldn't care less. So I can still have an opinion on the way PlayStation does their state of plays. So I can still weigh in a little bit, but I'll leave it for yous for the most part. So Phil, what do you think of Maloon's question?
Well, Spencer, let me preference Maloon's question and give you a little bit of background into what's happened at the Direct for the ones that haven't seen it, much like yourself. So I actually sat down with Potato Chief from the Rival Show, X Marks the Box, to do a react for this Xbox Developer Direct. It was 45 minutes, and we were treated to 3 games, which you knew about, which was Doom Dark Ages, Expedition 33, and South of Midnight, and then a mystery game. And that mystery game came up first, and it was Ninja Gaiden 4. Okay, guys? And then we also got a little treat at the end, where they said we get Ninja Gaiden 2 straight after the show, right now. And this show very much focused in on the devs and produced some story and a little bit of narrative to help us understand where this game has come from and the people behind it, which, in my opinion, was a very, very refreshing and slick presentation from Xbox. And at the time of watching it, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think the games on offer there was 2 in particular which spoke to me within Doom, The Dark Ages, and Ninja Gaiden. Expedition 33, as much as I didn't know too much about it on our last podcast, I actually went away and did some research, and I went in knowing a bit more than I did, but actually seeing the game, as spectacular as the visuals are, it didn't really sell it to me, because this is a Final Fantasy game, okay? It's a French Persona, if you like. It's the type of game, Davey, I'm sure you'd probably enjoy. But for me, that one was a bit of a miss. And then South of Midnight, that's your Xbox Studios game, right? It should be the best of the bunch. But this one, again, probably isn't push towards me, I think. It is a single-player narrative game, and of course I like those, but it's all based around Southern folklore, and you take control of a lady called Hazel, and she's got weaving skills, and there's some stop-motion animation, which looks relatively interesting, very similar to how Dollman is presented within Death Stranding on the beach, but outside that, probably a bit of a miss for me. So yeah, as I said, 8 out of 10, really did have a bit of fun, and Our React is up on the channel if you do want to see it. It seems to do very well. I don't know why Xbox content seems to just absolutely explode on our channel. It does better than the PlayStation content. So, yeah. Think of that as you will, but as I said, go watch that. Let me hear your views on it. But my personal views is, it was great, really slick, really enjoyed it. But what should PlayStation do? Should we take a feather out of the Xbox cap with that presentation? And I think we should. And I think we have previously. There's been some presentations that we've had in the past where we have had behind the scenes, through the looking glass, if you like, into what the devs have been up to. And I always appreciate that, but it's a different tact to what PlayStation generally produce and generally show us. Now, I don't want to move away from a state of play and the kind of quick fire, bam, 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 game after game after game. I don't want to move away from that. But what I do want is more of what Xbox have done here. I want the variety. I want options, and I just want more of this type of stuff. I think with big games, it is important to show the background and give us some studio information. For the smaller games that maybe don't have so much weight, yeah, bang them in a state of play, bam, 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 and get their names out there. But as I said, the Xbox one was superb, absolutely superb. Well done, Xbox. It's the first good thing in a while I've had to say about Xbox, and that presentation, as I said, 8 out of 10. Really good. Go watch it.
Fair play, mate. Very bloody well said. Very well said. A lot of information here. Davey, mate, do you agree with Phil? Or are you lying on the other side of the fence? How do you feel?
I agree with a lot of Phil's points, to be honest. I think that, in answer to Malu's question, that we do this already. And much like Phil said, I think that, the one that stands out to me, and it's ancient, but for some reason it always stands out to me, I think it's because of the first kind of example. When Ghost of Tsushima was coming out, I remember they did a state of play that was just Ghost of Tsushima state of play. It was 20 minutes. Amazing. And I came out of that and I was like, fucking hell, this game looks class, right? Like, really good, because I went in with like no kind of expectation whatsoever. I think we do that really well, that we have these focused state of plays, which are all about that game. And there might be something else very small, tangentially related, but it would be about that. And then we have the rest of them, which run the gambit. We've had state of plays which have been shit, we've had some that have been absolutely fucking incredible, and we've had some that have been extra long, which they called showcases. The only thing this did really well was the expectation setting, which I think PlayStation need to learn a lot from, in terms of saying, right, here's the studios that are going to be here, these are the games we're going to be talking about, and there's one surprise. Fine. Right? Cool. People knew, tuning in, no one's going to be disappointed from that, because the expectation is set. And I think that that's a really good thing to do. The problem is, and we're very guilty of this, is that we'll have a state of play. We'll be like, fucking Pragmata's coming back, like Resistance, all this shit, right? Whereas we should probably listen to what they actually put out on their social media and be like, oh yeah, we're talking about games that are releasing in H1 2025. And we're like, oh, it's going to be God of War 4. Like all these fucking crazy shit, which obviously isn't happening.
Yeah, but Davey, normally the synopsis for a state of play is, oh, we're going to focus on VR games. And then you get one VR game in the presentation.
Yeah.
So the people that write those kind of descriptions to kind of hype us up always seem very off the mark with PlayStation, I have to say.
They do. I just think that I don't think it's a quality over quantity thing. I just think that this is just a little thing that PlayStation already do. It's not like as if this is what Xbox do now, and they're not going to have a massive show in at E3 time. Of course they are. The last one was fucking kick-ass as well. Like, we fucking loved it. I don't think it's like a PlayStation have to adopt this and get rid of how they currently do it. Because I think, Maloon, that they already do this. But just, they don't have it focused around multiple developers in one go. It's generally focused on a developer, a game, a thing that needs that insight, rather than having a mix of them all together.
Tell you what, couldn't fucking agree more with either of you. But Davey, you specifically, what you're saying, I think, I haven't seen this Xbox Direct, so I might be blindly saying stuff. But we already do this, but better, I would say. Just because, and hear me out here.
Yeah,
when PlayStation does their deep dives on video games, at least I know beforehand what video game they're going to be talking about as well. Because if I was watching this event with 6 games, deep dive into or however many games, chances are I'm not going to care about all of those games. And I have to watch a deep dive into it anyway, when I already aren't anticipating that game. PlayStation does it where if in a state of play I see a game I don't like, I only have to watch it for a minute tops. And then it moves on to the next.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying that, say for example, you're interested in Doom the Dark Ages, you'd have to sit through 4 other games that you have no interest in whatsoever before you get to Doom the Dark Ages.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly right. Whereas PlayStation does the whole... They told us before FF16, this is a state of play for FF16. Before the game, they can't mention Village. This one is all about Village. And great, because if you're interested in the game, I watched the Village one, loved it. Didn't watch the FF one because it's not a game I was interested in. If they were in the same event and I had to sit through the FF16 one before the Village one, I'd have been pissed. So I'd say we already do this, but better, or at least for me, it's better.
The thing is, Spence, with PlayStation, obviously, we've got the choice to do different varieties of showcase, right? So we can do the development deep dives, and we can have a state of play where we, show off 20 or 30 games, right? But when it comes to Xbox, they're pretty thin on the grounds with games. So going for the sort of deep dive into the specific games, and they've got some big names there, haven't they? Doom the Dark Ages. It made complete sense for them to do it. So I think the question is more around Xbox. Should they stick to this? Not PlayStation, because as Davey's rightly pointed out, and what I said earlier, we already kind of do it.
Yeah, Xbox, I think Davey also implied the point, Xbox can't keep doing this. Because if they do this, it would be a deep dive into the same game for 3 years. Because that's all that's on the docket.
Yeah.
It's a dig at Xbox, but it's true. They don't have the games to do the deep dives on. I was going to say a joke about this when you started this, your comment about how our Xbox stuff always blows up. It's because the PlayStation listeners are busy playing their console. The Xbox people are busy talking about their console because there's nothing to play on it. That's why it blows up.
And they got browsers on their consoles, haven't they?
Yeah, they're watching this.
Hey, we can't do that on PlayStation. We got to play games or some shit.
But I think the digs aside from Xbox, right?
I love the browser dig. It's great. Isn't it? I think we've used it before. It's just a classic dig.
It's great. It's so good. Digs aside, to kind of go against your point to a certain extent, Spence, is that for me, for example, right, like Expedition 33, we'd heard about it last episode because people were putting it in their lists, right, for the Slaps or Stinky list. and we were like, "Fuck is this?" Like none of us knew, right? None of us knew at all. Wasn't even remotely on our radars. I saw it on that presentation yesterday, and I was like, I remember seeing this. I remember seeing this fucking game before. And watching that deep dive, I was like, fuck me, this is definitely a me game. Like, 100% a me game. And this looks class. Like, it looks really fucking good. If I hadn't have had to sit through that to watch Doom, I wouldn't have been sold on that game. Whereas now it's a day one for me.
I completely understand what you're saying. However, it shouldn't take a deep dive to get you through the doors because that is a trailer's job.
But isn't that the point of something like this? It's marketing, right? They're not doing it because they're like, we just want to talk.
No,
They're
I
doing
think
it
it's to put
to
faith in the
market.
people that are excited for the game is what a deep dive should be. It should be like, it's not just a cinematic trailer, you know, there's actually stuff to this game. But a trailer is what's supposed to get you in the door in the first place. It shouldn't take a deep dive to do that, I don't think.
I would have said every Xbox owner that was, you know, actively engaged in what games that were coming up with Xbox, even if they weren't interested in the ones that they put down on the list that they were showing, were there. There was a huge turnout for this. There really was. You didn't have to be interested in the games to watch this.
No. I think it's an interesting one, isn't it, Spence? Because you're right, because that first kind of trailer, that first reveal, I think about like Phantom Blade Zero, right? We saw that trailer, like 18 months ago, that first kind of initial reveal, and we were like, fucking hell, looks insane. And from then, we followed it pretty religiously up until current day, like with me just sharing a trailer that dropped yesterday to you guys, being like, oh shit, you gotta watch this, it looks so sick. Like, and that's the thing, because the power of that first trailer kind of got you in. And I suppose this kind of goes along with your mantra, right? You want to see something and then never see it again. So you want that one and done. You want that, I see it, I know it exists, I'll see you when it releases, right? But there is something to that different strategy with marketing where it's put more and more out and try different kind of tacks, and one of them may hit. And for me, that it's worked, because Expedition 33, I understand why it was on people's list last episode, and now it's on my list. The proof's there, right? Like, I wouldn't have bought this. Now I'm like, oh, I'd fucking just pick this up. So it's one of those things, right? But I get where you're coming from your mindset, because after you've seen it, if it's not made that impression first time, it's in the fucking bin.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Half the time, even if it does make an impression, it takes so long to come out that it's fucking gone anyway.
Like Judas.
Like
They want
Judas,
another
yeah.
one. So, Maloon, I hope you're happy with the answer to your question. If, audience, you want to take advantage and write into the show and be featured here, then the best way to do that is to write into the email, pswetrust@gmail.com, or hit us up on the socials, @pswetrust. Hit us up on there, write into the show with whatever your question, concern, thought, idea is, and we will pick it up and bring it into episode 107 in 2 weeks' time. But with that, it's time for us to move it on to the topic of the show, the fantasy draft. Stop! Topic time! And here we are at the topic, and today's topic is an absolute juicer. You may notice, for you on the visual audience, that we've got a change in lineup here. So Potato Chief has subbed in for Spence. Well, yep. And the reason why, listener, you may be thinking, well, that's a very strange thing to be able to end an episode on. We recorded this the day before the rest of the episode. And the reason why is because we are doing the fantasy draft for 2025. You guys seem to love it when we did the fantasy draft last year. And so it's a returning feature. We are setting it up and going in strong. And Spence does not like fantasy drafts. He entered last year, did his initial thing, and then never touched it again. And he said, I would rather shit my hands and clap than do the fantasy draft again. So it is just us three carrying on the torch, carrying on the fire of the fantasy draft into another year. What a year it was last year. Some of us did really well, some of us shit the bed, and we are going to go into that now. So first off, let's get the results out the way. Coming in at third place, because we're not even going to class Spence, because he didn't even really bother, did he? So coming in third place out of us three is myself. Coming in last with a whopping 83.44 points.
Golf claps. Well done, Davey. Congratulations.
Yeah.
3 out of 3.
We'll get into what went wrong pretty shortly when we talk about lessons from last year going into this year. But coming in second place with the silver medal is the one and only Potato Chief. Lewis, really well done. You came in with a whopping 97.06 points. Really, really well done.
Respectable.
And that is with only 11 of your games releasing. So super, super well done. And the champion of 2024 is Mr. Philip Hoy. Really well done. You got a whopping 106 points, which is just absolutely incredible. So really well done. Give you props right now.
Thank you very, very much, guys. And I hate to say this. It really pains me to say this, guys. But I told you so. I did the fantasy draft with my head, not my heart. And I caned you boys. I play a lot of fantasy games. I play Fantasy League with the Premiership, and I've been playing it for many years. And I'm okay with picking Man United players. I'm all right with picking Man City players. But I pick Liverpool players as well, but only when they're playing well. This is exactly what I did here. I picked games which I thought were going to perform. Consistent performers. That's the ones I picked. So you're 7 out of 10s, you're 8 out of 10s. I didn't go for the risky ones that everyone thought were going to be good. And I didn't go for any of the ones that were just wild, that I didn't know about. Any mobile games. I didn't go in for any VR games that you went for, Davey. Strangely, because they never performed. I looked at the statistics, I looked at the stats. And I won.
This gets so loud, this award music, by the way. I put this on, I knew it was going to be a fucking long speech. I knew it was going to be. So this thing gets ridiculously loud if it goes on. And it's on here. We've been asking to have the Game Awards shoo 'em off music for a while. I've done it, boys. It's from the Oscars.
I absolutely love that.
I love the way you're the one doing it when it's going to probably be used on you the most going forward. Mr. Rant down there.
Yes, yeah.
Also,
it's definitely going to come back to bite me in the ass.
You did your congratulations speech, but you didn't actually take your award. Here is the award for the Fantasy Critic 2024. Here you go, Phil. I'll give it to you when I see you in person.
Thank you very much.
Yay!
It'll be in the post then.
Yeah, I'll send it in the post.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I can go on the shelf somewhere. I'll put it behind me. Just like when I had the crown for... How many times have I won our end of show, I suppose, the blowouts? I've won it a couple of times now, the big quiz.
Yeah, I think you've won it. I think where you and me are tied, I think, for 4 apiece.
Yeah.
And Spencer's bringing up the rear on 2 or 3.
Okay.
So it's pretty close all round, to be fair. The next one's going to be the big one to be able to see if someone tears away or if we all level up on 4 apiece. Big deal.
So with us drawing on the blowouts and me winning this, I'm the overall winner at the moment, right? I'm the best of the best.
It's a different kettle of fish, my friend. It's a different skill set, isn't it? It's a different skill set. Don't make me play the rest of the award music. It's very loud. It gets super loud from here. So don't make me put it on.
I mean, you're all fearing me in the big quiz anyway. So you haven't given me a chance to fight you in the big quiz. So are you really the champion without taking me down? Let's be fair.
I've seen you drink, even when we're not really drinking that hard, my friend. I think that you would be the first one out on the big quiz. So
I'm good at quizzes,
I don't think any of us are really overly worried about that.
I'm good at quizzing, but I'm not good at drink. So it's the
Lewis.
balance. Yeah. I think round 1 I'll be nailing it, and then round 4 I'll be dead. So it's just trying to get the right level, the right scale.
You ain't getting to round 4, mate. No chance. Like Phil said, I reckon first round it would be rough. Because you got to think we're recording for like 3 hours prior to the quiz, so you'll be drinking for 3 hours prior. You ain't surviving, mate. You ain't getting to that. The first question you'll be like,
it depends how many fireballs you give.
Dribbling, dude.
It depends how many fireball shots you give me, because I was doing okay until we hit the fireball shot, and then that completely fucked me. I was fine up until that point. That one shot just fucking killed me. I don't know what happened. It's like a switch.
Well, imagine that, but like 15 of those shots, and then you go from there. But this is, of course, not the big quiz. We're doing the fantasy draft. So the next thing, guys, is obviously, Phil, you may not have many lessons to take going into this, but for myself, I've got many lessons, many learnings that I've taken from the last year of the fantasy draft. And listeners, you may be thinking to yourself, well, Dave, you had such a great selection of games. And I did. I think my 2024 selection wasn't actually the problem. I had Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Helldivers 2, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Black Myth Wukong, A Legend of Zelda in there, for God's sake. It was a decent list. I tell you what wasn't a good idea. Counterpicks. My counterpicks were horrifically bad last year. So I counterpicked Metaphor ReFantasio, which ended up scoring a 92, which lost me 25 points, 25 smackaroos, and Destiny 2, The Final Shape. Destiny, or at the time when you remember, listeners, when I picked this, was going through some of the worst news ever on our show, like horrifically bad news. And I thought it was a safe bet to be able to counterpick that. No. Turns out Bungie pulled it out of the fucking bag, and it scored 91, which was a minus 22 points. That is my first learning, is that going into this, I'm going to be very careful about my counter picks, and I'm not going to just rush them out straight away, because I also realize that after you pick them, they are set. You cannot remove something to put something else on. So I'm going to be a lot more sparing with the counter picks this year, and really make sure that I really consider what I'm going to go for. My second learning is that I am never going to include VR.
Yeah.
Ever. Because Skydance's Behemoth hailed across the VR community. People absolutely love it. It won like best VR game of the year, stuff like that. But anywhere that covers VR is not counted by Metacritic or into this draft. So it needed just 4 reviews that I had to wait weeks for it to be able to get. It just got it. And it turns out IGN, in their infinite wisdom, don't really cover VR titles very much. So they're complaining about things that most people are absolutely loving the game for. And with that, it scored a whopping 70, which is a nil point. So that is my 2 biggest learnings. There was other things that were bad ideas, bad news bears. Concord I'm also minus 6 on. A Life is Strange double exposure didn't do as well as I'd hoped. But those aren't really lessons, they're just more luck of the draw kind of things. Not the VR was the killing blow. If that had come out and scored like highly and been like, VR places were able to be used as part of this, I would have done quite well. I think I would have done quite reasonable. But without that, it was an Achilles heel, which I had no idea I had. So those are my lessons. But Lewis, let's come across to you. What lessons are you taking into 2025?
Well, you mentioned the counter picking. Really, the counter picking should have just been not to follow the bit, because you all just followed the bit, and that completely fucked you. If you just had a bit of individuality, and not just copied everyone, Mine is just to not be bullied, because that's why I lost, because you guys bullied me, and that was pretty much it. I would have won if I could have got rid of Avowed, but you locked me in with it with being counterpicked. So if I wasn't bullied, I would have probably won. So there you go. That's what I've learned. Don't trust you guys.
So how are you gonna stop yourself getting bullied? Because I can pretty much assure you that the bullying's gonna be even double the amount now. Now that you say you don't want to be bullied, I'm gonna make sure to bully you.
That's exactly what happens in school, isn't it?
Yeah,
when a kid's like, I'm getting bullied. It's just a green light. All the bullies are like, brilliant.
Yeah.
We'll start over here with him.
It's like a fly to shit, isn't it?
Exactly that.
But for this time, there's only 2 of you. So you can try and gang up on me, but it literally took 4 of you to take me out last time. See how you do with just the 2 of you.
Sounds like a challenge to me, Phil, that does, doesn't it?
It does.
Bring it.
It does.
Red rag to a bull.
It is. It certainly is. Good luck with that one, Lewis. And what about yourself then, champ? What are you thinking? What lessons have you learned to be able to take into 2025 season?
All I'm hearing from you guys is, wah, 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 wah. If only my top AAA game scored 99%, I would have won. If only my VR game had high scores. Wah, wah, wah. If only I didn't pick Xbox games that got delayed and didn't come out and scored me a big fat 0. Wah, wah, wah. That's all I'm hearing from you guys. And I'm sure the listeners and viewers are laughing at you pair. Although, when you picked them at the time, I heard our listeners, because they came to Twitter, didn't they, in their masses, and were like, Davey, you've got an amazing list. Hey, Lewis, oh, what a list. kissing your asses. And they were like, Phil, I don't know what you're doing picking some of the games you picked, but what absolute genius picked Destiny 2, The Final Shape. Ooh, absolutely lovely as it came in with 22 smackers. But hey, of course, I did luck in slightly with picking Astrobot and got a full 29 points there. But what actually let me down a little bit was my cow picks, the same as you, Davey. Because I went in hard on Indiana Jones The Great Circle, which actually turns out to be quite a good game, which I really do want to play when it comes over to PlayStation. And then I picked on Spence. I don't know why I picked on Spence, because he had a small array of games, and they were all very, very good. Now, if young Spencer had stuck with the game, I think he would have ended up winning, because he was very astute when he was picking his games, and they all scored very highly. But yes, if you look at my list, there isn't many standouts in terms of huge games there. You know, Formula 1, 24. The gap there was Football Manager 24 that didn't even come out. These are small games. These are add-on games, but they're consistent. All 8 out of 10s, apart from Destiny and Astrobot. And that's what got me the win. So my learning is stick with the same systems and move forward and smash you boys for year 2. Let's go back to back. We're doing.
Well, very brave. And I think for me, like, the Astrobot was the clincher in this. Yeah. Like, you're the only one that had their unannounced game came in, and it just turned out to be the game of the year. So, and we all knew Astrobot was coming out. You know, we all kind of knew it, and it was just the luck of the draw when it came to your turn to go first on picking the unannounced game. But it's the way the cookie crumbles. And I got to say, champ, I really like your strategy going in, and I wish you all the best of luck. I'm not salty about it whatsoever, and we will see how it goes, because there is a benefit to you winning last year, and it's not just the fact that there's a side bet on between you and me, where the winner gets to hand out 5 shots, which will all come back to bite me in episode 110, I'm sure. It is that you get to have the first pick of this draft this year. So that is a major, major benefit to actually winning. Now, Lewis, you and me need to decide who's going to go second and who's going to go third on this. So, I want you to pick a number between 1 and 2.
Okay, 2.
Alexa, pick a random number between 1 and 2. So, it is going to you as second, and then me as third, on a third choice pick here.
Okay, I'll put
and
that
that is the
now.
way the cookie is crumbled.
This year we decided to remove the random pick, the guest pick we did. We, as you said, none of us got apart from Phil, where we just guessed the random
the
game.
Unannounced game.
The unannounced game. We've ditched that this year, and there's 6 games this year instead, because there's only 3 of us. So we hopefully means it's going to be a bit. It also gives advantage for whoever. Well, I was going to say whoever comes last. Davey gets some advantage by having a 6, just because it's snake draft. So you're not missing out. Essentially, you get the extra final pick. So without further ado, should we just jump into it?
As you're kicking us off, champ, give us your first game. Give us the one to start it all off. I wonder what it could be.
I have no clue.
I wonder what game I'm gonna pick. Well, guys, you know what games I've been playing, and you know what games I really like playing, and I've been playing a lot of League of Legends. Now, there's a lot of chat out there at the moment about maybe a League of Legends 2. Now, that's on the horizon. Possibly that could come out, right? Half-Life 3 is always talked about quite a lot as a possibility to come out this year. But would I be that stupid to pick those games straight away when there's an absolute behemoth of a game coming out in fall of 2025? And if you look back to the history, the pedigree of this franchise, you know, the 5th iteration had 97% on Metacritic. The 4th iteration had 98% on Metacritic. The 3rd iteration had 97% on the Metacritic. Of course, I'm talking about Grand Theft Auto, and I'm going to lock in Grand Theft Auto 6, and I'm going to take my 97, 98 or 99% on the Metacritic straight to the bank. Thank you very much, boys.
Yeah, enjoy that one, mate. That was the most... If you hadn't have gone for that, Lewis would have got it. And if he didn't go for it, I would have been fucking over the moon. I knew I had no hope of getting that in there. I knew it. It's the most obvious pick in the world.
I'm going to be honest, though. I'm kind of glad I won the first pick, because I feel like you have to pick Grand Theft Auto. It's like you have no choice. Basically, you're trapped into it. I don't know.
Dude... It's like being trapped in a room with Megan Fox.
That's true.
It's like a fucking dream.
Transformers level to Megan Fox.
Oh, mate, any version of Megan Fox, dude, being trapped, it's the fucking dream come true, man. Like, what the hell? This is the best benefit of winning first.
I'm going to go for Grand Theft Auto 6, and I'm going to lock that one in and draft that as my game. So that's locked in. Number one pick, Grand Theft Auto 6 for me. Lewis, second. Now you can pick your game.
Oof, now this is a hard one. I actually don't know where to go with this one. It's so a choice. Yeah, the one I was going to pick, I've been thinking about it all day because I knew I wouldn't be first pick. So I was thinking, what am I going to pick first? I'm going to go with the game I picked last year that didn't pay out for me, but this year it should. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond.
Ooh,
Great choice.
Great choice.
Yeah, I mean
Metroid Prime originally got 97% on Metacritic. So Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is set up to score huge. Your only problem is it's only estimated for 2025. So there's no confirmed date on Metroid, but we all know it's coming out. So great pick there, Lewis.
So you get two picks now, Davey.
Two? Okay,
This is a snake
fantastic. Okay, right.
I believe it's a snake draft anyway.
Right. We're about to find out. My first choice is going to be Monster Hunter Wilds. This game looks insane. It's got a very, very, very strong chance of being a potential game of the year. And so, even though I'm not going to be playing it, it seems like the safest kind of bet known to man, baby. So I am going for Monster Hunter Wilds as my first choice. And my second choice, ladies and gentlemen, if I do get another choice, which it appears I do, is going to be looking at my stuff. What do I want the most? I'm going to go for the new Mario Kart game.
Damn it!
As long as I can draft it.
Yeah, you should be next Mario Kart.
Unannounced next Mario Kart, Switch 2.
That was my next pick.
There it is. That is going to be
Heavy
and that
on
is
the
going to be
Nintendo
my
shit.
second choice.
Well done.
It is going to be very heavy. I mean, with the Switch on the way, why wouldn't you go for it? So that is my second choice.
Absolutely fantastic picks, because Monster Hunter World was at 90% on Metacritic, so that's a good one to kick you off, and that is set to launch February 28th, 2025. And then, of course, you've picked up Mario Kart for the Switch 2, and Mario Kart 8's got a 92, so you're set for big scores there with those two, I believe.
Pray to the gods, baby. We'll have a little look. So, Lewis, back around to yourself.
So, today me and Phil have just reacted to a Xbox event, and the game of the show is Doom: The Dark Ages. That is my next pick, because that game looks fucking sick.
And of course, we got a date for Doom Dark Ages, didn't we, Lewis?
It's May something. I had it written down. Let me check. May 15th.
May 15th, and this is the 8th entry in the mainline series of Doom. Comes after the recent edition of Doom, after Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal scored 88 on the Metacritic, so again, very high scoring. So this game looks absolutely fantastic, and it was the game of the show, wasn't it, Lewis? We absolutely popped off, and there was some very tasty changes to the game, which I'm not 100% sold on, but I think the core mechanics are there when it comes to Doom, and the visuals just look spectacular, and of course the music. So yeah, I'm all about this game. Great pick.
It's back to you, Phil.
Okie doke. Well, that leaves it on to me. Now, again, I'm going to pick a game which, you know, I'm going to absolutely love, aren't I, when it comes out, and we're all going to play it together. You've picked Monster Hunter World, so I'm going to pick Elden Ring Night Reign. That seems to be a game that a lot of people are highly anticipating, and I think Lewis has already claimed it as his game of the year for 2025, the last time you did the podcast with us, didn't you, Lewis? That's locked in. So, of course, it is a snake draft, so I get the second pick as well. So the next one on my list, but the reason I picked Elden Ring Night Reign is that the original Elden Ring got 96% on Metacritic, so this is set for a big score, although it could be quite risky, because it is a change to the formula. So I want to go for a game that hopefully hasn't changed the formula too much and is a legendary game that we are getting in 2025 because it was delayed in 2024. I'm, of course, talking about Metal Gear Solid Delta. The OG got 91% back in the day, and this is the most popular Metal Gear. And now it's got the updated sensibilities of modern consoles. So of course it's going to get a high score. So I'm going for Metal Gear Solid Delta as my next pick.
What a thrill.
Over to you, Lewis.
Yeah, you picked the two I was thinking of picking next, and now I'm actually stumped. Okay, where are we going? Right. I'm going to stick to the theme of picking games that fucked me last year and hoping that they actually come out this year. I'm picking Avowed because it's also coming out quite soon.
Okay.
So that's early points out the doors, hopefully. Get me off to an early start.
Ooh, very nice. Very nice choices, boys. I got to say, Mr. Hoy going for Elden Ring Night Rain. Elden Ring Night Rain is a really good choice. I agree with you though. I think it is a little bit risky. And I don't know if it's going to have the same source and pizzazz that like a mainline single player entry will have. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it fall down a little bit. I can't imagine it'd be anything less than like an 82 or something. No. But I imagine it's going to do really well. Metal Gear Delta would be my next choice. I think it's going to be fucking fantastic. And, even if it's just exactly the same game, which it looks like it is, in, better graphics, that's like one of the best games of all time. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a very, very safe bet.
And it's actually a game I want to play. Out of the ones I've picked, it's the number one game I want to play. As much as Grand Theft Auto is going to be amazing, I'm more excited to play a Metal Gear game. I really am.
Yeah. Well, coming back round to myself, I am going for Judas as my next game.
Oh.
It's a nice punt.
So I think it is a little bit of a punt. It is scheduled to come out early this year. So apparently it's a March release. I just think when you've got such lineage as BioShock and System Shock under your belt, it's a fairly safe one. I'm just hoping to God that it actually delivers, It is like a little bit of a risk there, but I don't know how much of a risk we're talking about here.
Of course, this came up in my list of games, which I was highly anticipating for 2025. And it was on my list, but it wasn't very high on my list. I think if this one had slipped down a little bit in terms of you not picking it and Lewis not picking it, I may have picked it up a little later, but it definitely wouldn't have been my third or fourth choice.
Well, I'm playing the game a little bit because I know that I've got a fourth choice, being the Snake Draft. So my fourth choice today is going to be Ghost of Yotai.
Nice.
Coming in. I mean, there's very little to say here. This is a game I imagine was going to be on all of our kind of lists at some point. And, the only question mark on it is if it actually will release this year, which is the only kind of thing that doesn't give me the most confidence, because I wouldn't be too surprised if we get later on down the year and it ends up being like a very early February 2026 release. But I'm going to roll that dice, baby. And if it comes out, I have no doubt that Sucker Punch are going to deliver a Sucker Punch straight to all of us. But we will wait and see. So we are back to yourself, Lewis. What are you thinking?
It's tough. It's either I play it super safe and go for a game that I think's probably going to score and is going to be quite reliable, or do I go for something fucking crazy that's a punt out of the blue? I don't know why. What do you think? Should I go for a crazy one or should I go for the safe?
I would hate to influence you, Lewis. You play your own game. I don't want to be blamed when you pick a Man United player on a week that Man United aren't playing.
Tell you what, I'm going to play it safe for now, and if my punt's still available later, I'll go for it. I'm going to go for a game that Spencer probably would have picked up, Split Fiction.
Okay.
Joseph Ferris,
nice. Strong
co-op game, the former winner of Game of the Year. Very good game series, so yeah.
Yeah, very, very good choice. Very good choice. At least it's one that you know is definitely going to release, and coming from a strong pedigree as well. So I think this is a very good pick.
It's a very safe one.
talking of games we don't know if they're going to release or not. Now, I'm going to go risky because I have to pick this game, right?
Oh, he's doing it.
And I know you want me to pick this, Davey, because I think this will be your counter pick. And I want to put some side shots on this as well, all right? This particular pick. If you're going to counter pick it, okay? So if I lock it in and you counter pick it, we can have a separate bet afterwards on who wins, okay? Because I want to, raise the stakes a little bit with Death Stranding 2 on the beach, okay? Yeah. So the original Death Stranding got 82, okay? So not the highest Metacritic, but it still was in the 80s, okay? And that's why it hasn't come up just yet. And there is risk that Kojima has just been blue balling us for the entirety of last year, and he continues to do it through the entirety of 2025, because we've not actually seen any gameplay when it comes to this. We've seen a couple of very in-depth and very spectacular showpieces within trailers, and then we've seen some, mechanics and some photo modes and things like that, but we've never really seen the game, okay? But I'm all about this. I'm all across this, and it has to be the game that I pick next. So Death Stranding 2 on the beach, please.
I knew you'd have to pick it at some point. I was like, this is definitely a Phil pick for sure. And I hope, in a way, I'm hoping it pays off for you because I want to play it. But in another way, I'm kind of like, I don't want you winning again. Screw that. But I want to play it.
It's that difficult thing because he's very much read my mind in terms of I had this on my list and I would have probably run the gambit on it and I wouldn't have been surprised if somebody counterpicked me, right? Like, because it is an unknown. It is a mega unknown. And the difficulty is that as part of this, we need to do a counter pick today, don't we? And I have a feeling that in a month we'd know whether or not it's coming out.
Yeah, I think so too. It's on all the marketing stuff for PlayStation. So it goes to you, Ty, and Death Stranding. They're all across everything, all across the PlayStation website. So I'm pretty sure we're going to hear about it in the State of Play, which we're predicting is going to happen in February. But yeah, you don't know. So maybe counter pick me. Come at me, bro.
I don't know, mate. I don't know if I want to take those odds. I don't know. It's definitely one of those things where you know that the house is going to win. If I go again, like if I did counter pick it, you can bet your ass it would come out this year, which is great, right? Which you and me would be absolutely
winning all round, right?
It just doesn't win for me in terms of the Fantasy Critic because I do not want to go against it. I fucking love this game. Like, why would I want to counter pick something I actually really believe in? Yeah. So it's a tough one. A great fucking choice though.
So if I'm not wrong, Lewis, I get another pick, don't I?
I believe so. Yes.
Now, those are all the big dicks in the gaming catalogue, I think, right? They're the ones that I sort of picked out, that you guys have picked or I've picked. So now I'm going for more of my play with my head rather than my heart. But actually, this one's a little bit with the heart because it's a game that I absolutely love. I played it to death on the PlayStation when we were given it. And it's a game that I've always wanted to play because I heard amazing things about it. And we're now getting an expansion to said game. So I'm going straight to the jungle, baby, with Dave the Diver. The OG got a 90% on Metacritic. And I'm fingers crossed, this is going to continue with very high scores. Even if it comes out at a 70, I'm still winning in my mind. It's scheduled for late 2025. So again, slightly risky. But I'm going to roll the dice with Dave the Diver. And I'm taking it to the jungle, as I said.
Really well done. Great choice.
Okay, it's my turn again. So I'm just gonna play it safe. I'm gonna be boring old fucker. I'm gonna be safe as fuck. I'm going for Sid Meier's Civilization 7 because that game is gonna do well.
Okay,
and it's I don't really think I'm ever gonna play it, but I know it's gonna do well. So playing it safe.
Playing the game, my friend. I respect it. I really do respect it. And so it comes to me for my final two picks, and I've got some juices. I got 5 games that I can pick from here, and I don't know what to do because I'm thinking about going wild for one. And it is wild.
Okay, I like wild. I like spicy picks.
So the first one I'm going to do a safe one. I'm going to go for Capcom Fighting Game Collection 2. As my next one.
Okay.
Fighting Game Collection 2 has been announced for 2025. It collects within that not just a load of SNK fighters, so Capcom vs SNK, it also includes Power Stone and Power Stone 2.
Great games, but
And
Don't know if they live up to modern standards.
And the final one that I'm going to go for today is going to be a brand new fucking Pokemon game. Pokemon Legends ZA.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to go for on here.
It's not a bad show.
I'm going to go
Not a
for
bad
that.
shout.
I think it's going to be a nice little one. And the reason why, I was originally thinking about a little game called The Wolverine, putting that in here. I don't want to take those odds, man. Not yet. This is one of those things that when we get to the next state of play and it gets shown, then we might start seeing it appear on many of our lists where we're putting a lot of money down to be able to secure it. But right now it is too risky. There's another like 7 odd games left to draft. And for the remainder of my list, I don't think I got any problem in being able to secure them. So I am keeping it on the Nintendo hype train for the Switch 2, baby. Let's get some Pokemon goodness in there. See how this all shakes out.
Pokemon is very inconsistent. The last Legends game, Arceus, did really well, though. So I think you might have a good shot here. You know it's coming out, but the odd is it going to be lower than 70? Sometimes they can be lower, but I don't know. I think it's a safe pick. Actually, I think you should be all right with that. I think it should be good because they've taken an extra year to develop it, so hopefully it won't be as buggy as the last few games. So fingers crossed. Fighting game collection. That's just a Davey pick, innit? Let's be fair. That's a you pick all over. I would never have picked it, so there you go.
I got to agree with Lewis on the Pokemon pick. I think that one is something that probably would have come up later for both myself and Lewis. But he is right; they are up and down, and there has been some delays with this one in particular. So they're working through a few bugs. So hopefully they can bring out some gold for you there with Pokemon. Capcom Fighting Collection. I understand why you hesitated with that one after reading the score with Marvel involved. Now you're kind of banking on a game that has Power Stones to bring you in a good score. I don't think I'd be as confident as you are with this one. I love Power Stones, and I recently got it within a collection for my PSP, and I absolutely love it. It was a present that Spencer gave me, and I've always loved that game. And whenever we've been to retro conventions in the past, and if Power Stones is there, it is one of the first games I want to play because it's hella fun. But is it going to get you the big scores? I am unsure about that one. So I like your Pokemon one, but I think the Capcom one's a bit shaky personally, bro.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk, man. The games in there: Capcom vs SNK 1 and 2, Capcom Fighting Evolution, Street Fighter Alpha 3, which I think that's a fucking great fighting game. That is Power Stone 1 and 2, Project Justice, which I don't even know what that is, and Plasma Sword, which again I don't even know what the fuck that is. So we'll have a look. I mainly got it just for Power Stone, man. I can't be saying like on the last episode how much I want Power Stone to return and then not put it here.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Yeah, you got to speak your fucking truth, don't you? You know,
100%.
Live or die by the fucking choice. And
live by the sword, die by the sword, right?
It is, mate, it is. it is. But Lewis, back round to yourself, my friend. Where are you going with this one?
This is my final pick. I could go crazy, but I've still got quite a few safe picks that I want to pick, and I'm gonna be boring again, and I'm gonna go for another safe pick, and I'm gonna go with Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, because I looked up all the scores of all the Yakuza games. They're all above 70, so that should get me a decent point, and it's coming out next month. So it's again, I always feel with the fantasy draft you want to get off to a good early start. I know most games come out in November, December, are going to get you loads of points, but I want to try and get a good couple of February games in there to try and get my points up and running. So yeah, I'm going for Pirate Yakuza.
Like you said, a very safe one. And as you said, it's nice to be able to see you rise up on the leaderboard straight away with an early release. And so I get it. It puts the pressure on the rest of the players, doesn't it? If you're off to a really strong start, they might start going for something a little bit risky, trying to bid some stuff and waste all their money. It really does kind of start the game going, really. So yeah, really happy with this one.
I think it's scary if you've got most of your picks that are like late bloomers that come out in like the tail end of the year, like Q4, because you're shitting yourself through the entire year.
I had that last
Lewis,
year.
I think,
That was
Lewis,
me.
you've picked a good game there in the sense that you got some points on the board. So congratulations on that one. It wouldn't be a game I would pick, personally, because I'm not aiming for the 7 out of 10s. I'm going more for sort of an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 here. And one game that sort of saved my bacon last year was Destiny 2. And of course, we've got a new Destiny expansion coming out. It's called Codename Apollo in summer 2025. Final Shape got 89 and scored me a hell of a lot of points. So I'm hoping that this is the turning point for Destiny and they can continue with the magic that they produce with the Final Shape. So I'm going to go for Codename Apollo to finish my fantasy draft for tonight.
The question is, do I double down on the counter picks and go against it again?
I know. I was thinking,
That's
is that a good counter pick? It might be. I don't know. Oh no, that's such a tricky one.
I think I'm baiting you in so many picks that I have here, Davey, right? So I've tilted you by picking Grand Theft Auto straight away. I've picked an Elden Ring game that I don't like, Elden Ring. I've picked Metal Gear Solid, and I know you love Metal Gear Solid. Okay, Death Stranding is there, but I'm hoping you're going to counterpick me on that one. Dave the Diver is just a game I love. And then Destiny 2, I'm just like, counterpick me. Counterpick me. Do it again.
It's so fucking risky, man. Like, I got bitten, and you know what it's like? When you're a kid, or whatever, you'll touch the kettle or something, or touch a hot pan, and you're like, oh, I won't do that again. I learned from that mistake. It takes a special person to get burnt, and then to be like, I'm doing it again. You know? I don't know. I don't know if I'm that fucking brave, man.
You flew too close to the sun, young Icarus, last time, and you got burned for it. Are you going to come closer again?
And you are the first person to counterpick as well, by the way. It is, at least that's what it says on my screen. So
yeah, Davey's name has gone green, so you are the first counterpick.
I don't know what to do, man. They're all good.
They are all good.
There's nothing here that's like screaming out to me that, this is what you have to counterpick.
Counterpick Grand Theft
There
Auto.
just really isn't.
No
fucking way.
I want to, because I don't think it's coming out, but I'm not going to risk it. That's too risky, because if it does come out, I'm fucked. But I don't think it's coming out, but I'm not risking the fucking counterpick in it. Fuck that.
And my counterpick is going to be Avowed.
All right.
Ooh.
It's a strong one, and my rationale for why I'm counterpicking Avowed is because I haven't seen anything that's been overly impressive so far from this. I know they're betting big on it, moving it out.
Well, all the previews I've seen have said is really, really well polished and really good, from what I've heard all the previews say. But hey,
I'm gonna go with my gut that
right.
Xbox are all over the place with their studio management, and
There's
for every
Obsidian.
shining gem they have. Yeah, I know. Even
This
though
is the
it is
Insomniac
Obsidian,
of
man.
Xbox.
Yeah,
But it's up to you, man.
I'm gonna go.
Go for it.
I'm going for it. It's a risky one.
Thanks
I
for the
don't want
points.
to take the Destiny 2. I've learned my lesson, dude. I've learned my lesson. And as much as I'd like to go for Death Stranding 2, I believe it is this year. I really do. I'd be amazed if it isn't. So, fuck, I could even see it coming out in April, right? Like, I do not want to go there. And so that is the only thing. I'm not going for Metroid Prime. I'm not touching fucking Civ. I'm not touching any of these things. The only other one I would have potentially gone for would have been either Dave the Diver in the Jungle or Like a Dragon. And that's only because they're the least
High
punishing.
profile.
Yes,
Yeah.
out of everything. So I've gone for a big risk here, but fuck it. Why not? I haven't learned my lesson from last year. And no, I haven't learned my lesson, but I'm going for it. And it's in there now anyway.
Over to you, Lewis. What are you counterpicking?
You mentioned in Dave the Diver made me think, actually, because it said an indie game and might get delayed, and we might not hear about it until 2026 or anything like that. Because sometimes indie devs just go quiet, you know. So there is that option, but there's not really anyway.
Rocket.
Rocket, and it's not really. But I'm gonna go with the one I think is probably the best bet. I'm gonna go with Capcom Fighting Collection. as my counter pick.
Yeah.
Because you were worried about even picking it in the first place. I'm like, yeah, fuck it. That seems like the one.
It's just a risk. It's a risky one, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like they're classic games, which means that it's a really strong. Like, there's nothing in here that's gonna be shit. So I can't imagine it scoring like a 70, like below a 70. But you just don't know.
It might be broken. You don't know. It might not run properly.
Yeah.
It might release
It
buggy.
could be anything, dude.
Yeah, I think that's the best bet out of all the games on this entire list. I think that's my safest bet, even though it's not really a safe bet, but you know what I'm saying.
Dude, if I could have counterpicked myself, I probably would have counterpicked myself with that one, to be fair.
You've made my job extremely difficult, Lewis, because you took the lower hanging fruit within this list, okay? So if I look at yours and Davey's list, it was obviously going to be Capcom Fighting Collection 2 that I was going to counterpick, even though I want to bully you, Lewis. I don't really want to bully Davey. I just want to goad Davey to maybe counterpick some of my stuff, which he didn't take the bait, okay? So I think it'd be relatively unfair for me now to try and counterpick on Davey, but he's picked absolutely tremendous games. Monster Hunter, Mario Kart. Judas is the one that maybe I would have picked out of that list, because that's the one that has the most question marks for me. But I'm genuinely excited about that game, and I will play it, and I want it to be good. So I don't really want to counterpick that one. Ghost of Utah is going to be great. Pokemon Legends is going to be great. So I think Judas is probably the one that I would if I was going to go against you, Davey. But now I've got to look at your list, Lewis, haven't I? Metroid Prime 4, not going anywhere close to that one. Doom Dark Ages. Now, Doom generally doesn't score massively, right? Eternal got 88, so that was the highest I think it's ever got, right? You know, one of the big scores there, 88. Can I see that being consistent? Can I see that getting a better score? Yes, from what I've seen on Doom, probably, because it's absolutely tremendous. So I'm not going anywhere close to that. Avowed. I don't know a lot about this game, but it was quite funny last year that you picked it and didn't get any points. So I understand why Davey has gone there. Split Fiction is probably the one that draws my eye the most in this list. I know Spencer loves this game, and I know there's some good pedigree behind Split Fiction, but I just have the sense that this game is going to be too silly. And it's a co-op like game, and nothing about it grabs me personally, as much as I did say in the last podcast I would play it with Spencer, but I think I would have just ignored this game. Now that's got potential of me putting as a counter pick. Then you've got Sid Meier's Civ. I'm like, that's going to score big. We all know that. And then Like a Dragon is the coin flip between that and Split Fiction as my counter pick, unfortunately, Lewis. So it's going to be one of yours. And I think I'm going to, probably because I know a little bit more about Split Fiction than the Like a Dragon series, I think Like a Dragon is going to get you the 7 or the 8. 70 or 80. Split Fiction I could see not scoring great. So I'm going to counter pick you on Split Fiction.
It's a risk, isn't it?
It is a risk. They're all risks, but I think that's the smallest risk.
I'm looking at Phil's list of like some of those you feel like ripe for counter picking, but no, we both.
Oh mate, I'm not going anywhere near. Even though I don't think Elden Ring is going to be anywhere near like Elden Ring, like Night Rain, I don't think we're going to be anywhere near it. It's a solid 80, like minimum, right?
Exactly.
Like it's from.
Also thinking a lot of these games might get delayed. There's like a lot of them I'm looking at, like Grand Theft Auto. I was half joking about Grand Theft Auto, but there is a good chance it's going to get delayed to 2026. Yeah, there is a chance, a very likely chance it's going to get delayed. But if it hits, it's going to fucking destroy. So it's not worth the risk, innit? But you know.
I think that's the same throughout my list, though, Lewis, because if you look at like Death Stranding and you look at Grand Theft Auto, even if they don't, like, you think they might get delayed, but then if they hit, they're going to score good, right? So it is the 50-50 risk with a lot of mine. I think if you were going to counterpick me, you'd probably go for Destiny because it's an unknown, and historically they've been shit. That's the one I would counterpick me on. Dave the Diver, it's got 90, right? It's got huge pedigree, and people love this game. So I wouldn't have picked that one if I was against me. I would have gone Destiny. I really would have. But hey, I didn't get any counter picks this time, but maybe I'll have some later on within the competition.
We'll have to see. There's a lot of year left, and there's a lot of games which are going to be coming out. And so with it being a long year ahead, of course, the game has only just begun. So I'm going to ask the question here, lads. what happens next? Lewis, do you want to talk us through? You got a lot of experience here with the old fantasy critics.
Yeah, I mean, so what's going to happen next is we've done our initial picks. Now, throughout the year, we can pick up more games. We have $100 fictional dollars to spend, and you can bid on games in secret. Minimum bid of £1 or $1. Every Saturday, the top bidder gets the game. So, for example, what happened last year, Legend of Zelda, I bid like $20 on it. Davey bid 50 and ended up nicking it from me on the Saturday because I thought no way it's going to pay more than $20, and you did. So essentially, for the rest of the year, we're just going to wait for games to be announced and get release dates and be cancelled or moved, and we're just going to pick them up as we go. Drop games if they get delayed, and that's about it, really. And whoever has the best reviewed games at the end of the year wins.
Game on, lads. Game on. It's going to be exciting all year ahead of us. And I'll be looking forward to seeing how these lists update very quickly across the next coming weeks. And of course, periodically on NPS We Trust, the PlayStation podcast, we will give you the running scores and how we are getting on. Audience, I do want your thoughts about this. How often would you like to hear an update on the Fantasy Critic? Can you let us know? Because it's been very much a case of we just kind of dipped in and out and mentioned it in passing last year. But if you want it to be a case that every 4 episodes or every 5 episodes, whatever it is, right, that you want, or every 10, that you want an update on where we are and what the standings are, please just let us know and I can build that into the show going forward. But speaking of the show, that has been it for episode 106 of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. Spence, of course, cannot be here for this sign-off. So on behalf of Spencer, I will say thank you ever so much for joining. On behalf of me, it's been an absolute fucking pleasure. As always, I've been Davey.
I've been Phil.
I've been Lewis.
Take care, guys.
Peace.
In PS We Trust is hosted by Davey, Phil, and Spencer. You can write into the show via our email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @InPSWeTrust. To find each of us online, follow our Twitters, @SSJDavey, @PhilipHoy, @SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. See ya.